Oh, I probably should take off this banner first before I try to get all that. Oops. All right. I already made a mistake to start the show. Hey, how about that, everybody? Uh, that's
Jesus,
just the
Mark.
way you want to start. Welcome back to another episode of Big Apple Hockey. It is great to be here, and it's also great to have hockey, isn't it, Anthony?
Yeah, listen, preseason hockey to me is absolutely meaningless, but at least it's something. It's a start. It's a nice appetizer to the main course that starts, in early October.
I know, and it's sort of like, I mean, I was at the bar last night, and I heard a couple guys that, they're talking about it like it's a regular season game. Some of it I can't help but look over and just think, AJ Greer is probably going to Providence, so I wouldn't exactly worry so much about him. But there are there are those little signs that you need to worry about. But first, let's introduce ourselves as we always do. I, of course, am Mark Williams, who had the banner up there for at least 45 seconds. And I'm joined by the one and only Mr. Anthony LaRocco.
Yeah. So, Mark, did you actually watch any of the preseason games, like in its entirety?
Yes, I watched last night's. I actually had to keep turning my head for Rangers Islanders for the entire time because they were on two different ends. But I did watch them, yes, because
Okay.
I better have watched them. We're about to break them down.
Yeah. Truthfully, the Ranger Islander game, I did not watch. I was at the gym. And then last night's game, I watched the first period, and then that was about it. Again, I'm not really I don't know, preseason hockey. It's sloppy. Again, it's at the end of the day, it's really meaningless. So, but it's something to watch.
Yeah, it's something to watch. It's something to at least get an indicator on what you might get in the future. Every now and again, you get stuff like you get a prospect who's 26 years old. I think the guy I'm thinking of, I wish Philk was here for it. Jay Gibbons or somebody like that shows up, scores 2 goals, and then suddenly the fans start talking about him. When you have prospects that are actually fighting for a position, that's where you have to really kind of watch and open up your eyes.
I mean, preseason. I guess that's one aspect where it at least piques my interest a little bit. You see how the young guys do, but you know what? A lot of veterans who know they have spots locked in. Really, they could really care. They could really care less. I mean, they kind of go through the motions, and they certainly play to not get hurt essentially, and they just kind of they're going through the motions. It's really I think how the majority of the veterans view the preseason games.
Yeah, it's all it is just practice for them and getting ready. Now, some of them, I mean, it's to get themselves up to game speed. But like, take for instance, well, I might as well announce this with the Monday night. It was the Rangers defeating the Islanders 4-1. Goals by VZ, Kreider, Miller, and Jones. 2 of those goals, the VZ goal and the Jones goal, those are total preseason goals. Varlamov wasn't square to VZ, and a guarantee in the regular season he would be. He got hit, I think, in the chest and neck area, and it kept going up from a side angle, and it went in. Jimmy VZ isn't making the team, everybody, and he shouldn't. So, and then last night the Rangers fall 3-2 to the Boston Bruins. The Islanders last night. I mean, I was gonna have us do 2 separate ones, but screw it. Let's just talk about it all together. And the Islanders fall to the Devils. Now, again, we're talking about positions and things that you want to get excited about, Anthony. That pass Dufour gives Soshnikov.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a great pass. That's a great outlet pass. Yeah. And I mean, Soshnikov was never going to see the light of day with the New York Islanders, but
it was a good shot.
Great shot. It was a great shot.
Yeah.
And but on the other hand, you look at the Devils, and you look at the pass Holtz gave Jack Hughes. The Sharangovich goal, that kind of just surprised Sorokin. I don't think that happens in the regular season. The Holla goal, great goal. That and Hamilton, that's a preseason goal. And
it was through both the Sharangovich and Hamilton goals were shots through a mess of bodies that I don't quite think he saw. But again, I those two goals happened in the first period. I only watched the first period. I didn't see anything other than that, but I saw those both goals. And to me, I was, regular season, I'm like, God damn it. Preseason, I literally bit no sweat off my back. I'm like, oh, all right. That's
yeah.
I don't care. But and look at, and there's some, I see some Islander fans on social media flipping out they lost both games, and it's like, first off, last year they went 3-0-2 in the preseason, and look what happened during the regular season. Even that first game against the Rangers that we went to, the Islanders shut them out. So
and the Rangers were a non-factor.
I can't stress this enough. Preseason the results that you see in the preseason does not mean anything when it comes to the regular season. So it's just really about seeing where your prospects are and coming away unscathed with no injuries, and getting your systems ready for the regular season.
Well, by the way, especially just to echo this, especially with you said the veteran clause, but especially like your first couple preseason games, because you're not really getting everybody in sync, your actual starting lineup. I think Casey Zizekas was on the power play last night, and that's not happening in the regular season. And I remember other big preseason moments, however you want to slice it. I remember in 95, Wade Redden, and I am saying Wade Redden, everyone, and Todd Bertuzzi. I think they each had goals, and Bertuzzi had the OT winner for the Islanders. And because everybody forgets, Wade Redden was drafted by the Islanders. Yes. And there's a lot of those factors that teams aren't exactly ready for. They're preseason for a reason. They're not ready for action. Artemi Panarin's not out there. Zibanejad and Kreider weren't out there last night. Vinny Trocheck was the top center. It's just, those are things that are not going to happen. And what you want to do is you want to get you guys up to game speed, and then you also want to make sure that they're going to be healthy, because the Rangers had a scare with that with Alexei Lafreniere last night. But as far as the Islanders go, let me also say this. The Rangers looked terrible that first game against the Islanders. They went to these conference finals. Everybody just relax. It's preseason. The scores of the game don't matter. No. Now, I do have to ask this question, and I was going to put it in the bar talk, but I knew I was going to use this. Is there going to be an adjustment period with Lane Lambert? And if so, how much?
Yeah, I think there is, for sure. I mean, even though he's similar to Barry Trotz, there's certain things he's changing within the system. Getting used to his voice as the head coach, whereas obviously the last couple of years it's just been as an assistant. It is a big difference, even though it doesn't seem like it. So yeah, I would think they're going to work on these kinks through the rest of training camp, and really try to clean up their game, because Lane Lambert did say last night that in the post game that there are certain things that they have to work on and clean up. But yeah, adjusting to a new coach, regardless if he was an assistant with that same team last year, it's still an adjustment period. And again, I think he's tweaking the system, and that takes some time for the players to adjust to. So hopefully they can get it all worked out before the regular season starts. But I'm sure it's something they're going to be working on the next couple of days here in camp.
Well, even at that, there's another pattern that usually comes out, that the Devils play most of their regulars and blow the doors off of somebody. They did the same thing to the Rangers last year in preseason. So again, everybody come back from the ledge. It's all going to be fine.
A lot of times the home team, especially in the first preseason game, whatever, will play some of their better players just because they're home and they, know they have fans coming in. They don't want, the fans, not that preseason tickets are expensive, but they don't want these people spending money coming to the game, and you see a bunch of, AHL plugs. So it's par for the course for the home team to play a lot of their regulars.
And by the way, State of Survival saying this, which is Svachnikov is a consolation prize for Golashev, but Lou loves Svachnikov, and he might get a shot
Yeah, he had
I
him
don't know.
in
We'll see
Toronto.
about
I
that.
mean, I don't. There's too many guys. I think personally, he would have to beat out for a spot. I mean, is it possible he's like the 13th forward and switches on and off with Martin? I guess, but then I mean, like I mentioned before, you already have Kiefer Bellows trying to fight and win a roster spot somehow. So I'd be surprised if Sashnikov or really any other outlier forward makes the team out of camp.
Yeah, and also DP was saying this one that 54 on the Islanders was working real hard. Don't know who he is. I didn't actually get to see it either. And because that's actually tape that I have to review, because there's one player I still have to comment on in a second. Brendan Ottman had a great game. He had 2 assists. Granted, one of them was on that Jimmy Vesey bad angle shot, but he looked very good, I thought. But we're going to talk more about Brendan Ottman in a second. But Anthony, I did bring up one tweet, and I can't help but I took a little bit of heat for it. And I mean, a little bit. One of our followers was wise enough to call me out, because I always want to be called out, because you know what? That's how you stay nice and humble, and you don't get too full of yourself. But I do have to ask this question though. What is exactly the Vitaly Kravtsov, like, what does he hang his hat on? Does he have this great shot? Is he a great passer? Or does he have this great vision? I'm still trying to figure it out. And I shouldn't be asking this from a first round prospect in his 3rd preseason camp. I don't know what he does. I know Kravtsov holds on to the puck. I know Lafreniere is a good skater and has got a little bit of an edge to his game. But what's Kravtsov? And Phil had a couple of choice comments about him.
I mean, I think scouting report was he's a guy that can kind of stick handle and be very flashy in regards to that, and then that he's a goal scorer. But again, some of these players have a little bit of issue translating their game to North America. The NHL game is much different. You really have to work hard, and you have to be physical. You have to get engaged. And that's something he's going to have to adjust to, and there's certainly an adjustment period. But listen, he's a guy that we saw a little bit of an entitlement issue in the past. Obviously he didn't make the team. He pouted, got sent to Hartford, took his ball and went home. He seems like he's more open-minded this time around, maybe a little bit more mature. But he's going to realize if he wants to stick in the NHL and not ride buses in Hartford, he's going to have to play a complete game and show that he belongs. So we'll see how the rest of training camp shakes out. But I would be really surprised if he wasn't on the opening night roster.
Yeah, that's something I'd be shocked if he isn't, also because he's an asset. And I believe and he can refuse to serve. I think it's a one-way contract that he's got now. So it's if you end up sending him down, you're saying goodbye to him. There better be a trade in place before that happens, because I actually thought he was going to be here last year and then he wasn't. And again, maybe that's not the problem. By the way, General, always good seeing you. And also, anytime anybody you see us, make sure you like us, subscribe, and hit the bell, because that's how you don't miss anything. We've actually been growing. Do you know why Nelson didn't play in the game?
I don't know. The only thing I know is that he's skating, and they said there's no issues with him. Just hasn't gotten in the game, which fine. It is what it is. I mean, Brock Nelson's one of the most important players. I'm not in a rush to throw him in a meaningless preseason game either, but I'm sure he'll get in the next one.
Yeah. I mean, and the good thing about, again, hockey, as opposed to say like football or something like that, is, you don't make one wrong cut and end up blowing out your knee or anything, and then you're done anyway. So that's just where it gets even worse. So everybody, by the way, so that's just some of our thoughts. We have a lot more preseason thoughts coming up in a minute. We're also going to be doing some betting odds in about a second. But before I even mention the betting odds, I also have to mention on air that Anthony's Buffalo Bills lost to my Miami Dolphins this Sunday. And fortunately, the game was not 1 or 2 more seconds longer.
That's what grinded my gears the most, is that if there was literally 1 second longer, the Bills likely win that game, because he probably would have hit that field goal.
I looked at all the stats of that game and say, how did the Dolphins win it to begin with? But that strip sack, you only had 5 yards to go for a drive. That really helps.
I mean, I knew that last play, Allen was rushed, and he honestly did a good job getting away from it. I thought he was going to get sacked, but that the way that play it took too long, unfortunately. And I knew once he completed that to Isaiah McKenzie. I mean, I'm sure you as a Dolphins fan was probably like shitting yourself, but I knew that he wasn't getting out of bounds in time. The way he's fast, but I knew he wasn't getting out of bounds. And right then, I knew the game was over. I'm like, they're not going to get back to the line of scrimmage in time.
It almost would have been smarter for him to slide down, take the down, like that you're down. Everybody runs up to the line. You save a few seconds. There are certain tactics like guys just don't understand or know about, but that is one of them. I mean, Victor Cruz was famous for that one. The butt punt.
Yeah,
oh my goodness!
I was like, oh, I'm like, wow. I'm like, they just basically gave this game to the Buffalo. When that happened, I was like, my confidence rose again that Buffalo was going to win the game.
Yeah, but you know what? I think they were better off in that situation anyway, because Buffalo would have to get in the end zone, and at least with the field goal, you got a little bit more distance. And I think that was an even trade-off, to be honest with you. But yeah, nothing. You think that's bad. Everybody wants to say that's bad. They forget about the butt fumble. The butt fumble is the worst play I've ever seen in my life. Yeah. And the worst part is I didn't even see it. I picked up a friend of mine. The Patriots scored. By the time we walked into the bar 2 blocks later, the Jets were down 35-0. And a friend of mine goes, "You will see this play for the rest of your life." So
yeah. This is a great point too. Buffalo was out. Poyer, Hyde. Their secondary was totally depleted, and they still, despite that, hung in there. So, again, it is what it is. But it was disappointing.
Well,
for
anyway,
me, not for you, for me,
I did have to kind of rub it in a little bit for you, but everybody, since football season is upon us, click the link below. You can get 125% back with BetUS.com with a deposit, because we're also going to look at some BetUS.com futures that are coming up for the NHL right now. And first things first, we'll go look at the over-unders on the Rangers and the Islanders in their points. Let me just set that up real quick. I got that right there. And here we go. Anthony, let's start with the Devils first. Do you see them? The better bet is over 90.5 points or under 90.5 points.
I would go under.
Yeah, I would too. I don't see them having completely healthy goaltending the entire time, and they're a team on the rise, but there's also a lot of different factors that I kind of see coming. I don't want to allude to enough of it because we're going to be talking about them in the bar talk in a minute.
Yeah.
All right. New York Islanders over 93.5 points.
I mean, I can go either way on this. But I'll lean towards the over. I do think they are going to be a much better team than last year. And last year, from February on, they were one of the best teams in the Metro. So I think they'll bounce back this year. So I'll go with the over.
I'm going to go with the over too, but I think it's going to be like 95 points, 96. I don't think it's going to get to 100. We'll see about that as soon enough, only because if they're not the only team that's improved, that's why even with the Rangers, I think the Rangers are a 100-point team, but I don't know about 110. I don't know about that. So we're going to see about that soon enough. So obviously I tipped my hand on that. I got the Rangers going to 100 points over 99.5. How about you?
Yeah, I'll go with the over too. And the Rangers are interesting because, last year, as I'm sure a lot of their success, was upon Chris Kreider having a career year and, Igor Shesterkin turning out one of the better years that we've seen goalies do in the last couple of years. So, if Igor were to not regress, but if instead of being, Superman, he was just really, really good, that could make a difference in a couple of points. But either way, I think they're a 100-point team.
Yeah, I mean, I can even try to reduce Igor's numbers a little bit, maybe not to like almost record setting, but I do think Igor is who he is. And I don't want to use the term live with it because the Ranger fans will definitely live with it. But I do think, like the same way Sorokin might get better, I could see kind of Igor staying right where he is, like that low goals against and that high save percentage. The number one thing that's going to get better, I think, for the Rangers is their defense. Keandre Miller is going to be close to what he was the last 2 months instead of the first 3 months.
Yep.
And I just think I think there's going to be more consistency from their blue line. We'll see about that one. All right, Anthony, let's go to the Hart Trophy. So who would you look at over here and say that is a good bet to win the Hart Trophy?
I mean, can you really start off by not mentioning the obvious? Connor McDavid, Austin Matthews, Leon Draisaitl. I mean, those guys are always going to be the first picks and the best, the best odds because they're the best players in the league. And, Connor McDavid's always going to be a guy that puts up video game numbers. So he's always going to be in the conversation. Then you have some people, it takes away from him that he has Leon Draisaitl on the same team. But at the end of the day, this is still the best player in the world. And, until someone unseats him in that regard, I know Austin Matthews won it last year, but I still think it's Connor McDavid's trophy to lose every year. Personally, he's that good. With that said, I beated the drum last year for Kirill Kaprizov to be a dark horse MVP. I mean, that guy almost 100 points. Right? He had like 97 points or somewhere along those lines.
In that neighborhood, yeah, I believe it was 97.
Ryan Hartman and Matt Zuccarello. I mean,
yeah,
this. It's not like he has another Leon Draisaitl next to him. I mean, he's on, to me, in the truest sense of the word, most valuable player. If you take Kirill Kaprizov off that team, Mark, where would you say the Minnesota Wild are?
Absolutely nowhere.
So
absolutely nowhere. That's where they'd be. And by the way, that is my best bet because I think I'd rather lay down the money and get the better odds with Kaprizov. I think it's a plus 1,500 right there. That's where you're going to make more money on that. Connor McDavid, you're going to make some, but
you're not going to make much money betting on McDavid. Yeah.
No. And that's another thing too, because then you can't help but look at who's the worst bet for the MVP. And Anthony, I'm going to start this one off. Cale Makar. They got Cale Makar on this list higher than Igor Shesterkin, who was nominated. It was a finalist. I would say nominated because I always think that's what it was in my head when I was younger. Alexander Barkov, who played on a President's Trophy team, and his own teammate, Mikko Rantanen, and former MVP, Nikita Kucherov. They got him at plus 1,500. Anthony, a defenseman hasn't won the MVP since Bobby Orr. It's not going to happen.
Yeah, I mean, Cale Makar's, the amount of love that he's. I mean, I don't know. The text I sent you guys from EA Sports is, ratings. They literally had Makar and McDavid tied for stick handling. Like, I mean, It's getting a little too far. And Cale Makar is unbelievable defenseman. Don't get me wrong. I mean, he's an electric skater. He's, and being that he's so good skating, he could skate with anybody. We saw him skate with McDavid. Take the puck off him a couple of times during the playoffs. He's unbelievable. But you're literally. I know it's a video game, but really, you're going to say that Makar has the best hands in the league along with McDavid? I mean, it's just the love for him is just getting to astronomical highs. And yeah, for him to win the MVP, I mean, as a defenseman, I don't know. He'd probably have to have 100-point year for that to happen. I mean, Roman Josi almost hit it and he still didn't even win the Norris. So Makar would have to do some pretty ridiculous things to win the most valuable trophy. Also, while having Nate McKinnon on the same team. So, yeah, I wouldn't see – I wouldn't bet on Makar to win the MVP trophy either, Mark. You're not alone.
Yeah, and I do have to say this, and I'm going to use this little example before I read General's comment right there for the audio people, which is, you know what Cale Makar is now to me, Anthony? He's the Dark Knight. And I mean the movie. That movie was fantastic. I loved that movie. I saw it, I think, 3 times in the theaters that year. Then I went on IMDb and I saw it listed as the 4th best movie of all time. And I went, stop. It is not that good. And there are still people that think it's the greatest. It's one of the greatest movies ever. It's got plenty of flaws. And now, granted, and why I'm saying this with Cale Makar shouldn't have won the Norris last year. Roman Josi should have won the Norris. He had more points. He was on a team that needed him more, and he carried his team. He literally carried his team. And Cale Makar wins the Norris Trophy. Because, by the way, here's what I think what's going on around the NHL. I'll have this rant in next week, hopefully when it's the three of us all together. But, I mean, I just think that I think that the NHL wants to spread around their rewards. They're like, oh, it's unfair to give 2 Norris trophies to the guy that earned it. Shut up. Give him the Norris. He won it. I mean, in the 90s, Brian Leach couldn't win more than 2 because of Bork and Chelios. So there you go with that. Now, by the way, what General's saying right here, it's a hot take, but I think Huberdeau is a dark horse candidate. And I got to agree with you. I think Huberdeau is a dark horse candidate. And Romanello is kind of hit on the nail on the head, too. The Makar hype is beyond ridiculous now. Yeah, he's a great player, but people need to settle down. His hands are better than Patrick Kane.
No. And honestly, we're talking about hands. I would actually have Kane ahead of McDavid, believe it. And when it comes to pure dangling, pure stick handling, I would have Kane, honestly, as number 1. But that's neither here or there. But yeah, Makar hype, don't get me wrong. I do think overall he's the best defenseman in the National Hockey League right now, all things considered, the whole package.
But you don't think he should have won the award last year?
No, I do think Roman Josi should have won it. I mean, the guy almost had 100 points, which is ridiculous. And being that he plays on the team in the Nashville Predators that aren't, exactly the Harlem Globetrotters out there. So I would have given it to Roman Josi.
And by the way, Upstate Isle is just chimed in with best movie ever, Gone with the Wind or Casablanca. You're going to have a lot of people that'll tell you either one could be it. On IMDb, the top 250 voted on movies of all time. Godfather 1 and 2 usually rotate between 2 and 3, and number 1, Shawshank Redemption, as voted on. And I mean, all of them are great movies, but it doesn't mean that. If you said that they're the greatest movie ever, objectively speaking, I'm going to say yes. Me and my favorite's The Usual Suspects, Anthony, but that's a different story. So let's move on to the last one, which is who are your best bets for the Stanley Cup? Because I got to tell you this, Anthony. On top of the Cale Makar thing, there's another one that just makes me shake my head, which is, there we are, Colorado Avalanche, of course. They're plus 500. Plus 1,100, Anthony, is the Toronto Maple Leafs. Go ahead. Give me your best.
I mean, we all know what their deficiencies are. They can't win a playoff round, but they're still always going to be up there, viewed as a favorite, just because of everyone they have. Mitch Marner, Austin Matthews. They got a great group of forwards, and the media loves pumping the tires of the Toronto Maple Leafs. But I don't see them winning a Stanley Cup this year. You're not winning a cup with that defense and Ilya Samsonov and Matt Murray as your goaltenders. You're just not. It's not happening, and I'll gladly eat crow at the end of the year if they hoist the cup over their heads. But I do not see the Maple Leafs winning the Stanley Cup. I just don't. I could see the Avalanche being the favorites again for sure. The Lightning are still hanging around there. The Panthers, I don't know about the Panthers. Still going to be a good team, but I'm a little uneasy about them. I like the Hurricanes. I like the Flames too. But not the Toronto Maple Leafs. I just don't see it.
Well, I mean, that is spoiling with one of our worst values. We're going to get to that in a second. But I gotta agree with you on the Panthers. I'm a little bit uneasy with them. Calgary Flames, though, you're talking about and I'm going from a smaller view, so I want to make sure I get the number right. That they're a plus 1,900 to win the Stanley Cup right now. They were my pick last year to win the Cup anyway. They fell short. They might have more snarl this year. They might have more defensive capabilities. This looks like a more Daryl Sutter team. That's a great value. The St. Louis Blues at that's plus 29, plus 2,900, and of course the Rangers at plus 21. The Toronto, you know what? I'll just skip right to the worst. Toronto Maple Leafs. What the hell are you doing, Vegas? Plus 1,100. They won a playoff round. The last team, I believe, that didn't win a round in the playoffs and then a Stanley Cup the following postseason that they went in was the Carolina Hurricanes under Peter Laviolette. And I have to look up what they did in 2004 because I can't even remember. But in 2002, that team went to the Stanley Cup Finals, and a lot of the same components were still on.
BetUS.
BetUS, yeah. We went with BetUS because it's the we have a link with them. So again, you could always do that. But I mean, other ones. I mean, you never. I'm high on the Vancouver Canucks. The Canucks have. I just had them a second ago. I think that's like plus 61. That's unbelievable. But I mean, the LA Kings could be a lot better. But I don't know about winning a cup. But you get the St. Louis Blues. That could be a real good team. Although what are they going to do with Tarasenko at the end of the year? I don't know. So if you had to do a 2-team parlay for the Stanley Cup final for the most amount of money, what would you do right now?
Well, you can't do a parlay for a Stanley Cup. It's one or the other.
No, but I could always do this. Actually, I that was a question that came up in my head just now. Odds to win the East and the West. I won't bother scrolling down further than that. There you go.
To win the West. I mean, if you're strictly speaking from trying to get the most value, not just picking on like picking the Avalanche would be easy. I would go with the Flames and the Hurricanes.
I'm going to go back to my Stanley Cup prediction last year: the Rangers and the Flames again, and then that's a hell of a pick for both of those. So, all right, so that's enough of breaking down the futures. Let's talk about the present. And what do you guys think? What are some of the best bets for the NHL this year with the futures? As I said before, we do have a link for BetUS.com. Hopefully, when we get bigger, we have other accounts as well. So, and don't forget, you could also click on the link below, get some of the Big Apple hockey hats. They are actually going fast. I haven't sold any on eBay yet. I've sold them all in person though. So there you go. And I actually think that they look great, but that's just me. All right, Anthony, let's do some bar talk.
You got it.
And
shot. This is the easiest I've ever to answer.
I'm gonna say beer. I can't even begin to describe.
I'm actually going to go crazy. I'm going to buy everybody around on this one. Once again, everybody, welcome back to Big Apple Hockey's Bar Talk, where we're gauging our confidence on NHL topics based on our choice of drink. Are you so confident that you're going to buy everybody around? Do you just you don't have a beer? And oh God, just give me a shot. I need a shot right now. That's what I need. So once again, by the way, I mentioned before, the Big Apple Hockey Trucker hats are available right now on our eBay store. Click the link below and I'll have it shipped out to you. But Anthony, we're going to start with a guy that we were talking about in the first segment. And I said before that we're going to mention more about him. Brennan Ottman will make the opening night roster for the New York Rangers.
So you mean actually playing or just on the roster?
We'll go with on the roster.
I'll go beer. I could see where he makes opening roster and he gets the 9 game look, and they send him back to juniors before he plays the 10th game. But I mean, overall, as far as playing, I mean, Mark, who's he playing over? He's not a guy that you really want to start on the fourth line. The third line, let's assume it's the kid line. Who is he playing over? I don't see him. I don't see him unseating someone to the point where the Rangers then have to pass a player through waivers just because they want him on the roster to have him play. So again, I don't see it. I could see him making the roster and getting the taste of being a pro, hanging around the guys, and you send him back to junior after a couple of games, whether it be he actually plays or he's just there for the experience. But I don't see him actually being an everyday player and making this team and being here the whole year. So I'll go beer.
And because of the way this is worded and the circumstances, I'm going to go beer as well. The reason why is because I could see him, just as you outlined, being on the roster, maybe getting 1 or 2 games to play, and then they slide him down to juniors, because you have to take advantage of contract options. And that goes with almost any sport, regardless what it is. It's a business just as much as it's a game. And maybe they see him in the playoffs, maybe not. But the other thing, it's sort of like when we talk about the Patrick Kane thing, Anthony, that when people say, oh, what about Patrick Kane getting dealt to the Rangers eventually? Then that means Lafreniere and Kakko went horribly wrong. In this case, that meant the Rangers were willing to put him on the roster and say goodbye to Kravtsov right away. Look, as much as I have the critique on Vitaly Kravtsov, I'm trying to give the kid a chance. And I'm trying to figure out what his game is, because that's what coaches should be doing. You got to maximize him. But as soon as, if you put Brendan Othman on this roster and not Vitaly Kravtsov, there better be a trade in place. It's just that simple. He's not going to Hartford. And the other problem is, why would he? So that's the other thing too. Othman did have 2 assists on Monday night. And as I said, he was the #1 star. But also, like I said before, one of the assists, great. The other one, it was on a goal that it was a bit of a seeing eye goal. So, I wouldn't exactly say that. Hey, Anthony, do you remember what happened in 2015 where there are cash-strapped organizations like the Blackhawks and I almost said the Blackhawks again, the Boston Bruins, that they couldn't re-sign 2 defensemen such as Nick Leddy and Johnny Boychuk?
Yep, I remember that day very well. Both on the same day. Gar Snow pulled it off, and a lot of Islander fans are the most excited they've been in years. Right before that season started, getting these 2 guys, it was huge.
And that's a way to improve your blue line quickly. You just go to another team, go, look, you can't afford anybody, so I'm just going to just pluck that guy off. Thank you very much. So Big Lou needs to exploit cash-strapped teams before the season starts.
I mean, I'm gonna go round here. It's no secret that he didn't obviously do anything in the regular season. And making a move like Snow did, I think that could go a long way, whether it be for a forward or another veteran defenseman. Although it seems like they're really liking Robin Salo, but I think it would go a long way. However, I mean, Lou, let's face it, Lou's stubborn. He already, put the kibosh on our deal anyway. So I don't really have any, I really don't have any worries about me saying that right now. It's the truth. And I think he's relying on last year being an outlier, which we've all talked about and mentioned. I think he's banking on the team performing again and saving the cap space that he has to then make a move at the trade deadline like he's done prior years with Pajot and Palmieri. I think that's his game plan. And as you know, Mark, every day as the season goes on, you accrue cap space each and every game, each and every day. So again, the Islanders have, David, actually, they're not. You look at half the league on cap friendly. Half the league is either over the cap or have $800,000 of cap space. The Islanders have close to $3 million. So I think, again, I think his game plan is that last year was an outlier. They're going to be a good team, and at the trade deadline, he's going to maximize the space he has. And again, he's going to make a move forward like he's done in prior years. However, I think he should make a move now before the season starts, but I don't think he's going to.
I think he thinks his team is on the floor. I use that line from Hoosiers all the time, but yeah, he kind of does need to exploit some of these teams, because that's when you can get some good value. And Lou's more of a trade guy. He's always been a trade guy more than a free agent guy. So he'd rather trade for somebody and then judge whether or not they're a value right there. Because I think you're able to plan for the contract and you know what you have because the guy's already signed. First things first, as far as answering the questions go, I'm going to buy everybody around on this one. But to back up what you're saying, Anthony, there's 12 teams that are over the cap at the moment right now. 5 more with less than $1 million worth of cap space. That is, as Anthony said, over half the league. So 17 17 is not 16. 16 would be half. 17 makes it over half the 50%.
A perfect example
but the Islanders do have 2.360 in cap space right now. Deadline space, they have 10 million. So they're one of the few teams, if the trade deadline was tomorrow, they could trade for Patrick Kane and not have to worry about absorbing money.
The perfect example would be out in Vegas, Nick Hague, young defenseman, still unsigned. Vegas is in a pinch. That's where, Lou, if he was savvy, would, sweep in and acquire a guy like Nick Hague and round out your, top six and maybe give, Robin Salo some extra time. I mean, he's even said himself, he'd rather bring up guys too late than too early. That would give him the ability to do that. But that's exactly the type of move. Or as Core's saying, Rasmus Sandin, he's another RFA that's unsigned. That's another situation where, Lou could look to go. But again, so this is absolutely round. He should do it. But he's not going to. He's going to bank on the team being good, adds at the deadline.
By the way, it's funny you guys are mentioning that because more on those two names in a few minutes. Hey, Anthony, last night in net, Vitek Vanacek was the Devils starter, and he made 11 of 12 saves. Obviously, the Svechnikov shot escaped him, but that would escape a lot of goaltenders. Vitek Vanacek will be the Devils starter by New Year's Day.
Round. I already think he is the starter. Jonathan Bernier is, coming off a pretty big injury, and Mackenzie Blackwood has been, very up and down. I think it's Vitek Vanacek's net to lose. So this is easy. Round. He's the Devils starter.
Anthony, there's a sentence that you hit that is 100% right. That's why I have to get to the word beer. And you said it's his net to lose. And the only way you can lose it is if he gets injured. And Vitek Vanacek has got a history of injuries. He's never been really 100% the entire time. We'll see about that. I mean, I don't think Mackenzie Blackwood's going to be recovering, and I don't know what's left for Jonathan Bernier. So the temptation is for me to agree and say it's definitely around, but I still haven't seen a healthy Vitek Vanacek his entire career. But granted, all 2 years that I really got to see him. That was a quick Devil segment, right? And anyway, Anthony, we got to go to two other goalies or goaltending situations that are in there that we're probably going to be talking a lot more about because Spencer Knight signed a 4-year, $4.5 million annual average contract. Spencer Knight will be the Florida Panthers starter by opening day.
Opening day? This says New Year's Day.
Sorry, opening day, New Year's Day.
Shot. I'm going to say it's Bobrovsky. They're paying him a lot of money, $10 million. I think they would look to move him this offseason. I'm sure they tried this year and just couldn't do it. And even next year, there's no guarantee. It's going to be really, really hard to move Bobrovsky. But and I know he's very up and down. He's sporadic, but I think it's his net. Spencer Knight has a high ceiling, albeit he hasn't really lived up to it yet. And believe me, he's still young. There's still a lot of time. If he was already looking like he's an elite goalie right now, I would tell you, round, no doubt about it. But that's not the case right now. I still think it's Bobrovsky's net. So I'm going to go Shot.
I am looking at these guys, and you are 100% right on this. My goodness, $15 million on two goalies. I've said before, I'll say it again. Why did they sign Bob to this contract and then after drafting a goalie in the first round? Like you should have signed him shorter term because as we broke down in our own group chat, hypothetically speaking, talking about buying him out eventually, it would cost them $6.6 million for the next 3 years, and then it would be another 1.6 for the next 2. That's a lot of cap space to eat, but then again, look at the Minnesota Wild, and they're like, yeah, you talk to us about cap penalties. So I am going to say beer because unfortunately Bobrovsky has not had that track record of success, and that as the foam covers Anthony's face whenever I do that. And he just hasn't had that track record of success in Florida. And as I broke down in the video that I put out last week, the most underpaid players in the league, he comes in at $257,000 a win.
Yeah.
And that was a good season for him. What if they regress? I mean, he regresses, then he's like over $300,000 a win. That's not going to be going up. Panthers are hoping Putin drafts Bob. Oh boy. Hopefully that's not the case anyway. Anthony, I got to go to one of my favorite stories this year. I can't believe this. One more goaltending battle for us. But Matt Murray will be the lead starter by New Year's Day. And I'm going to go right back to shot. Oh, wait, there it is. There's the shot. I mean, there's no chance. Matt Murray is not going to be healthy by January. I'll start that one off. And the Matt Murray that won 2 Stanley Cups, I haven't seen him in 4 years. So can everybody please just stop? And Matt Murray, when he was winning those 2 Stanley Cups, had problems with health. That's one reason why he came in so late in the second Stanley Cup run, and why I still maintain that if Ottawa didn't blitz Marc-Andre Fleury, he'd be the one in net. And who knows? Maybe Pittsburgh doesn't win back-to-back cups. Maybe Ottawa goes on to win, and Nashville or Ottawa wins their first Stanley Cup. I don't know, but Anthony, no, it's not going to be Matt Murray.
I'm gonna go shot. I think Samsonov probably has the advantage right now. I think he has at this point. He has more upside. Matt Murray is who he is at this point. Samsonov at least still could maybe get to where people thought he would be when he came to the league. But I mean, I don't like Matt Murray at all. I think he's a little bit made of glass, and he just simply hasn't been good. I think it's going to be if Murray's the starter, that doesn't really say much, because that means Samsonov must be really bad. So I'm going to go shot on this.
Yeah, I mean, just how does anybody look at Toronto and just go, that's the goaltending combo we're going to go with? That's going to be the successful one. All right, let's go to a player that had his troubles last year.
Yeah.
No, we're trying. Believe me, I'm trying to find a spot where all 3 of us are together, especially with Phil, and that's why I'm so trying to. Like, if I got to do it on 3 hours of sleep on a Saturday morning, I'll have to do it. So, just to get us all, because we got to do it for the season premiere. All right, Anthony, to a guy that had contract problems last year, Jack Eichel will score 90 points this season with the Vegas Golden Knights.
I'll go beer. If he's fully healthy and he's ready to go, fresh year, starting off with his team. Last year he joined them late. By the time he came back from his injury, that is. I'm going to say that he'll end up with 80 points. Maybe he can get to 90, but I don't think it's a lock. I could definitely see him landing somewhere around 80, 82, 83. So I'll go beer. With that said, I'm not really high on Vegas. I mean, their goalie right now, Lauren Persuat's still hurt. So you're talking Logan Thompson and Aiden Hill, their 2 goaltenders to start the year. Not particularly good. I think this Vegas team, it was a shock when they missed the playoffs this past season. Would not be shocked if it happened again. I do like the fact that they added Phil Kessel late in the offseason. That should help. But I don't really see them as an offensive juggernaut. But Jack Eichel is really talented. I still do think he can get to at least close to 90 points. So I'll go beer.
Hey, Anthony, have you ever had a major injury or surgery in your life so far?
No, knock on wood.
Okay, well, I hope you never do either. So I do have to say, like about 4 years ago, I had hernia surgery, and it's just getting back to playing golf again. It took a little bit of time for me to actually just trust my body until I just started doing it instinctively and not even thinking about it anymore. I think it's a natural feeling. You're afraid of what you can and can't do, even a world-class athlete like Jack Eichel. And eventually, I think he's towards the end of the season really started to trust his body a little bit more. That's going to be gone this year. That's going to help. He's going to have, assuming, Mark Stone's 31. So he should have Mark Stone. That's going to be healthy. All these guys are going to be healthy. I hope he is. I hope he is going to be ready for that and be healthy. I'm going to go beer too. I want to buy around on this. I want to say that he's going to be the superstar we all think he is, but I just don't. I don't know. I don't know if it's going to happen. I kind of go with the same thing you say. If you're telling me he puts up these numbers again, that's not a bad thing. But I do wonder about Vegas's depth, Anthony. That's going to be tough. Now, by the way, you mentioned before Haig and also Rasmus Sandin. But Rasmus Sandin and Jason Robertson are 2 of the 4 remaining RFAs to not be signed yet. Rasmus Sandin will play a game before Jason Robertson.
I'll go round because I think they both don't miss any games. I think they'll be signed hopefully, pretty soon and be in the lineup come the time the regular season starts. I mean, anything's possible. They could keep this holdout going, but I think both are going to get signed and they will be in the lineup for the opening night. So I'll go round again because I think they both don't miss any games.
Nope. I'm going to go shot. I just think Rasmus Sandin's situation, they're so far apart, and I think that they're going to be it's just not going to happen right away with them. I hope it is. I hope neither one misses games because you want to see all these teams at full strength. I don't know what Toronto's going to do without Sandin. There's now the idea of, maybe we don't need Sandin. Yeah, you do. Yeah, you do. So I'm going to say that. I'm going to tend to agree with you that they should both be playing. I think Dallas is going to buckle down and say, Jason, here you go. They might sign him and then try to figure out who to move in order to make the money work. There aren't many guys that they can move on their roster, though. I mean, certainly not moving Sagan and
well, they have $6.3 million of cap space, and you got to believe Robertson's at least getting $8 million. So, maybe $1.5 million or so and change of salary they're going to have to move out. Who that might be, I don't know. Have to look at the roster, but they are certainly going to have to make an adjustment to get Robertson. And he's their most important player. Aside from Rope Hintz and Jake Ottinger, you'd think he'd be in the fold. They got to get him signed. They do. They absolutely have to get him signed. He's crucial.
And again, players that usually miss out on camp and some preseason, it affects them. It always affects them. And almost regardless of the sport that you want to say it does, whether it's hockey. I mean, I remember Derek Stepan, and it kind of affected him in 2016 or hell, any running back. If you ever play fantasy, a running back holds out, don't draft that running back. That's usually what I have to say about that. Although, look, that didn't work out with me with Alvin Kamara 2 years ago. But anyway, and by the way, Anthony, there's one more I have to say. Did you hear the Seattle Kraken are looking for a mascot?
No,
and they're going to unveil them on Sunday. Their Kraken, their mascot's going to be awful.
Why do you say that?
No, it's just round, beer, or shot.
Oh, I mean, shot. I mean, I don't really have any reason. I mean,
this is just like a quick. Oh yeah, they wanted a beer. Shot. There you go.
I'm sure it'll be some sort of squid, maybe, or I mean, octopus, or
yeah, it's got to be a fish, right? They throw the fish there, don't they? It's got to be a fish.
They throw like sockeye salmon, I believe, on the ice. Something along those lines.
There you go. Yeah. Get the salmon, get him in there. He's Sammy. That's what you call him. You can put the L in there, even though they don't pronounce it. And we just made the mascot for him. And if you haven't seen the video, it's actually a pretty good video with Detlef Schrempf in there. And I like it even more that the little girl couldn't pronounce his name and she gave up on it. She just went, he's from the Sox. And at the end, he was mentioning about bringing back the old Sonics mascot, and she goes, "But the Sonics are coming back." So there's always that. You know what? It's just I am gonna go with beer on this, Anthony, because if it's a New Orleans Pelicans situation, and that thing, if you remember the New Orleans Pelicans when it first came out, that thing was terrifying. That definitely
I
haunted
don't.
the dreams of small children for a while. So, all right, guys, this kind of a light bar talk today because there isn't exactly that much to talk about, and it's preseason. We're just happy we're getting games again. You guys, throw your thoughts down in the comments below, and also don't forget like, share, and subscribe if you haven't done it. I'll throw that banner up one more time, and we're actually ready for your questions. This is the second time we've had a show go under an hour. So,
yeah, Mark, what are your thoughts on that?
Let's see. Besser just re-signed.
Yeah, that's why I don't see that happening. He just signed an extension, and also it was just announced he's out with a wrist injury, right? Like a couple.
Yeah, he
months?
suffered it in practice. He's out for at least 2 to 3 weeks of the regular season. And by the way, so is your boy JT.
Yeah,
who's dealing with an abdominal injury. But Vancouver's an interesting team because here it is: 6 years, 6.65 until 2025. I don't know if the Rangers have that much cap space to move those two along to get them.
And I don't see him trading him after re-signing him either.
Yeah. Oh boy. Hey. I
could see
Anthony. The guys are throwing in some good requests on the Seattle, like a squid with a pirate hat.
Yeah.
Jack Sparrow fighting the Kraken, or as General saying they should make. I don't even know what the hell to pronounce that is. It's
I wouldn't even try.
Yeah, but by the way, I do have to hand it to Gritty because, I do have to, that thing was scary, but Gritty has really done well. But I mean, going back to what AZ was saying right there, I don't see it. Because I don't know where the Rangers can upgrade. The Rangers are going to have a lot of trouble upgrading, especially right now. You got to run these players out because they're not on big contracts. I keep talking about this and rolling my eyes because there are people that think that, oh, you could just collect every single superstar. First off, in the early 2000s, it didn't work for the Rangers. You can't buy a team in the NHL. You just can't. It doesn't work. You got to have guys that are Oh, is that what a Cthulhu is? Oh, all right.
Another thing, you mentioned it before with Besser and the cap. I mean, you got to remember something. The Rangers have $1 million of cap space right now that they're carrying, and at the end of this season, you have Hedl, Lafreniere, Keandre Miller, Zach Jones, all RFAs. And the money that you have coming off the books are insignificant salaries like Dryden Hunt and Ryan Carpenter. And, so they're going to lose someone in the offseason as a cap casualty. I mean, the early suggestions are that it would be Ryan Lindgren. But it's just the nature of doing business in this cap world.
It is, and it's a question of whether or not you could get guys and bridge them. I actually think Keandre Miller is going to be the most important New York Ranger this season. If he improves and moves forward, then sky's the limit for the Rangers.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that would be
big. Yeah, I wasn't sure on the monster for a minute. Romanel is asking, who is the top deadline target again this year? If it falls apart, could be Pasta on the block. I think he could be more desirable than Patrick Kane. Anthony, would you feel this one?
Well, Patrick Kane is the top trade line target for sure. Pastrnak, yeah, you're right. Pastrnak is a pending UFA. If the Bruins are bad and he's still unsigned, you got to believe that the Bruins would at least be smart to explore the possibility of trading Pastrnak. But I would say Patrick Kane, Vladimir Tarasenko. If the Blues are a good team, they might just pull a Blue Jackets and hold on to him and for the playoffs and just let him leave for nothing. So maybe Tarasenko is a possibility, but I think by far it's Patrick Kane as the top the trade deadline rental. And then of course you get other guys that kind of come out of nowhere with their names as the season goes on. Maybe Pierre-Luc Dubois gets moved at the deadline as a possibility. Maybe Mark Scheifele, depending on how things go in Winnipeg. Even Blake Wheeler, depending on how things go in Winnipeg. So those are just some other names that out there that could be moved. Just thinking off the top of my head. But I think Kane is the prize for sure.
Anthony, hold on. My dog's barking. I'll be right back.
Sure. So, general, I would say not very good. One, he's hurt. And then two, he signed that extension. So I would be really surprised if the Canucks moved Brock Besser. I just don't see it happening. I do think if they wanted to, kind of clear up their cap situation going forward, I could see Connor Garland as a guy that maybe moved out to make room for re-signing Bo Horvat this offseason because that's going to be a priority for them. But I wouldn't expect Besser to get moved.
I'm looking at their cap friendly right now, and I'm trying to find, and probably all they're over on the cap right now is 2.7 million. So that I think Connor Garland might be the guy to move, or Tanner Pearson. Tanner Pearson's got a limited no trade clause. He's got a 17 no trade list. So I think that would probably be it. Look, they re-signed Brock Besser to keep him. They're not trying to trade him away. So I don't think that's going to be it.
Mark, what are your thoughts on this?
Funny the way they end up.
Mentioned Lindgren. Roman maybe subtly suggesting that maybe Keandre Miller would be a guy that would go for cap purposes. Are you a hard no on that?
At the moment, I'm a hard no. I'm a very hard no on moving Keandre Miller.
Yeah, I wouldn't either. If anything, I would move Capo Caco.
And I know what he's saying right there. He's saying Miller would get an absolute haul.
No, and he's right. If he continues on this progression and has a really good year, he would. Yes.
But here's the thing about it. Like, take for instance, there are other people that have this really good opinion of Keandre Miller. Like, there was a video from the handshake line where John Cooper is saying how good of a player he is to him. So it's just one of those things of, he takes another jump. The guy that I still see the Rangers moving, if the opportunity presents itself as soon as it can, is Jacob Trouba, but he's got to wait one more year on that.
That's not happening. Like I said, I would move Kako before I move Miller. I would move Kako. I've been very vocal about it. I'm not a fan of Kako. I don't see him becoming the player that everyone thought he would be at this point. Mm-hmm. Just look at his production in all the years he's been here so far. It's been very subpar. And that's just fact. That's just looking at the numbers and seeing he has not produced. And if the Rangers want to try to save some cap space, Ryan Lindgren's an integral part of the team. He's plays with Fox. I by far would move Kako before I moved anybody else on that roster if I needed to create space.
And just to say, one reason to keep Brian Lindgren over Keandre Miller is, Ranger fans, if you remember, Brian Leetch's longtime defense partner was Jeff Bukaboom. After Bukaboom basically couldn't play anymore, Brian Leetch struggled a little bit to find a new defensive partner. It was either Rich Pilon, Tomas Klocek, and just there's so many things.
So this, I mean, in theory, this works, but he has a modified no trade clause. I believe a 15-team list, and he makes over $3 million. So I don't know. It may not be that easy for the Rangers to trade Gaudreau.
I wanted to go back to this one, State of Survival. Oh, sorry. You were clicking on that. Stop clicking. All right. He was asking, question for Ranger fans. Do you guys love Sather? I never hear Ranger fans complain or say anything about him. I mean, Lou's been mentioned 8 billion times. What do you think? What do Ranger fans think of Sather? Ranger fans have a lot of complaints to say about Sather. I think the reason why you haven't heard complaints about him is because he's 6 years removed from being the Rangers GM. That's the answer on that one. And a matter of fact, they're on their second GM since Sather. So there's a lot that say they're bungled. There's fans will talk about that till no end. The Rangers never seem to draft well. That's another thing. Anthony,
I mean, Sather's another old school guy like Lou. I mean, different philosophies. They are very different, but same that old school mentality for sure. Mark, you didn't chime in with your thoughts on the Rangers trading Gaudreau and how difficult that would be.
Okay, yeah. Not Gaudreau?
You snubbed it. I mean, I responded to it, but you didn't give it the light of day.
All right.
Very upset.
Well, here's my thoughts on that. You think traded Gaudreau? Let's go back to that. To create cap space easy. Here's the thing. Everybody, I always talk about this. I talk about roles. Roles are a huge thing for any team. It's not fantasy hockey and it's not NHL 23 where you could just stack your team roster with Sidney Crosby to throw them on the third line. No, you got guys that they need to accept what their roles are. Barclay Goodrow is a third, fourth line center or fourth line player. You're going to need those guys because you can't just trade Gaudreau and then say, Alexei Lafreniere, you're the third line center or something like that.
No, it's not necessarily about trading him because of his role not fitting. I'm talking about from the purpose of it being feasible because of his contract and salary. I don't.
But exactly that. That's why I'm not even approaching the other side of that. Yes, his contract is. I'm doing this off the top of my head, even though I got cap friendly open.
15-team no trade list.
Yeah. So yes, you can move him because there will be a team to take him. Hell, Arizona is taking everybody forever. That's just what Arizona's game plan is.
What's your thoughts on that?
All right. Question. Your thoughts upon who will be traded. That'll be a surprise for either the Rangers or the Islanders obtaining.
So is he saying a surprise of someone that is traded from the Islanders or Rangers or guys they would get that would be a surprise? I'm reading it as
I'm reading both right now on that.
Because then it ends with obtaining. So obtaining would mean who they're getting, but it also kind of reads as who would you be surprised that would be traded from them? I don't know. But I mean you can answer it either way.
Okay, who would surprise you that the Islanders acquire?
Well, I mean, I guess you could say. I mean, with loose track record, I'd be surprised if they acquired anybody. But
remember, Lou's a trade guy.
That's true. He is. I would be surprised if they acquired Patrick Kane because while it's been said that he would come to the New York teams, when you look at it from this way. So let's say the Islanders are a good team, okay? Come the trade deadline. They're a good team, and Lou's certainly buying. The Rangers are going to be a good team, and I'm sure they'll be involved in Kane somehow. So it comes down to where Patrick Kane is going to decide his future, Mark. He's going to decide his future. If it's a team that he's willing to go to, so basically what I'm saying is if it comes down between the Islanders and the Rangers, and both offers in terms of value are the same, and they say to him, okay, well, being that you would go to both teams, and for us, the offers are the same, we'll let you choose. There's no way he's picking the Islanders over the Rangers. So
there's only one way he'd do that, and that's the Islanders are either in a dead heat or ahead of the Rangers.
Yeah, even then, I don't know, honestly, for the Islanders to get Patrick Kane, two things would have to happen. One, the Islanders' offer would have to be so much better than the Rangers that the Blackhawks don't even give him the opportunity at that point to choose, or the Rangers simply don't go for Patrick Kane. Those would be the only two ways that he would pick the Islanders over the Rangers. So to answer this question, I'd be surprised if they got Patrick Kane. And just to answer it the other way, in case you are asking that, I would be surprised if the Islanders traded Josh Bailey. I mean, the guy's going to reach 1,000 games for them this year. He's been a good player for them in terms of, he's been there a long time. He's up there on games played and points. I think Lou values loyalty, and I don't think he has any intention of trading Josh Bailey, even though it would help their cap situation. So I'd be surprised if they traded Josh Bailey.
I would be surprised if the Islanders traded Matt Barzal. Let's go for the big swing, because I think he's staying here. I think they're re-signing him, and then that's going to be it. Now, because the only reason why I'm not saying Josh Bailey, who's going to hit 1,000 games with them, or I'm not saying Anthony Beauvillier, who's a young player who a lot of people still covet. Those are usually the two names that everybody throws out all the time on whether or not they're going to be traded. So I think those would be the names that would surprise me. A big name guy, because again, Lou trades for big name guys. He's done it with Kovalchuk and with Alexander McGillney. So that's not too far out of the realm of possibilities. The hard part for me would be the guys that they would get rid of. I guess Pastrnak would be the one that would really surprise me, by the way, because I think he's looking to the team he's going to play with next right now. I don't think it's going to be the Bruins. I think they'd love to keep him in Boston, but I think it makes sense for everybody to deal him and get pieces back, because the Bruins are going to need it, because AJ Greer had 2 goals.
Yes, you're right.
I don't think he's going to be in the NHL. Anthony, by the way, I had Wicked's question penciled for you. He was asking, Anthony.
Look, I kind of addressed this when we came on. I don't really care about preseason. I don't think it has any bearing on what happens during the regular season. I even referenced last year the Islanders started off their preseason 3-0-2. So they didn't lose once in regulation last year, and then look what happened during the regular season. So yeah, while they haven't looked good, again, I don't put any stock into it meaning anything in the regular season. So I'm not concerned about their 2 games thus far.
I'm not really concerned about that either. They're just practices. They're glorified practices. That being said, I'm going to the Rangers Devils game tomorrow night. Be nice to be back at the Garden. But the thing about it is, and again, we alluded to this earlier. It's sort of like 2 different speeds out there. You have the young guys that are trying, or even the veterans, some veterans that are trying to make a team, maybe on a PTO or something like that, that are going full speed and trying to do everything. And the other guys whose positions are locked up, just trying not to get hurt. But I do think preseason hockey emulates closer to the regular season. And I'll put it to you this way. The game tying goal last night for the Rangers versus the Bruins, it had the most amount of first round picks falling to stop a goal ever, because Lafreniere fell down on the back check. Kravtsov fell down on the back check. I have to look again. Maybe there was another guy that was falling down on the back check. So don't freak out about that one too much. Now, by the way, Anthony, I did want to address AZ's on this one. So again, you're reading my mind on this. What about Blake Wheeler as a rental? Of course, Wheeler, if Will agrees with Jets management to be moved. The other thing is Blake Wheeler ain't a rental. He's owed $8.25 million next season, not just this one. So it's a long ways away.
And at 36 years old, it might be hard for them to move that contract. But yeah, I mean, it's certainly possible. If Winnipeg isn't a good team, I'm sure Winnipeg would ask other teams if they're interested, because they would love to get his cap hit off their books going forward.
Whereas a guy who turns 30 next March is owed $6.125 million for one more season as well. And of course, that is Mark Scheifele. So it's going to be interesting to see exactly what Winnipeg does from here. What exactly is their blueprint? What are they to quote Will Ferrell and Wedding Crashers, what are they doing back there? What are they doing?
Cole Perfetti, he's young. I'm sure he's gonna make the team. I mean, Dubois made it no secret he really wants to play in Montreal. So if they can move him, and then you build around Kyle Connor, Perfetti, maybe you keep Scheifele around, Hellebuck in goal. There's still a good foundation there. But hey, listen, and Nikolai Ehlers, so they got good pieces. If they could just get rid of some of the older guys like Wheeler, get rid of his salary. Trade Dubois maybe in a hockey trade for a similarity, good player, get picks. The Winnipeg could still be on a good path, but I think it all depends on how this season goes for them. General Alex Fiala struggled. Does Lou's seat get a little warm? Absolutely. I think his seat got a little warm once he fired Trotz, because then that was him essentially putting himself in the line of fire there. And then he doubled down on that by not making any additions to the forward group. So, yeah, his seat is really warm. If they start off slow, based on everything that transpired in the offseason, yeah, I would think that his job could be in jeopardy. But again, Lou also doesn't really care at this point. I think he's up there in age. I believe it's the last year that he's under contract. So who knows what he chooses to do going forward. But yeah, I would say his seat's warm for sure.
This is a question that I've been wanting to ask you for a while, and also let's ask you guys right now in the comments. Who is more likely to be the general manager of their team next year? Lou Lamoriello or Kyle Dubas?
Lou Lamoriello, I guess. I mean, Kyle Dubas, it's an interesting case, which I was surprised. Brendan Shanahan, I guess, when camp opened, he clarified that Dubas is not under contract for next year, and they're not really negotiating right now. Basically saying, if they fail again, Dubas is likely done. Well, my question is,
Dubas is betting his career on it again. How many times can you bet your career on it?
But my question is, if you're Shanahan, the Maple Leafs, all right, so you're not going to extend his contract. But if that's the case, why even keep him for this year? Like, I don't understand. Yeah, I get, okay, you're giving him one more crack at the can, but still, if you were willing to not give him a contract extension, I mean, why not have just cut the cord there? I mean, I think it already needed to be done, either that or make wholesale changes to your roster, and none of it happened. So it's a little head scratching, but it seems as though Dubas' seat finally is warm. If the Maple Leafs don't win a round, he's done. He's done.
You know what? I don't know. Who knows? They might get the Lightning again, losing 7 games.
Oh, and then
suddenly it's, hey, you know what? If we didn't lose the Lightning,
it
would have been a lot better.
Listen, I've been saying for the last 2 years now that something should have changed when they lost. I can't imagine it staying the same if they lose this time. I really can't. I think Dubas.
All of us were in disbelief when they lost the 3-1 lead to Montreal and going, all right, because here's the thing about. I'm going to go on a rant in a second. I'm trying to dial it back, Anthony. But Kyle Dubas has got more excuses than any politician ever. I mean, a couple of years ago it was, the Canadians, they had that impressive run. If we had Tavares, that was going to be it. They should have won the North Division and been in the conference finals. It wasn't even close. They are kicking the same can down the road. They're not, and it's not to rip the Leaf fans who, in all honesty, sometimes I'll say this: Leaf fans deserve a winner. Maybe that's why they're just a little bit, on edge. But I mean, what happens this year when they don't win?
He's done
because they're not winning.
He doesn't have a contract. I can tell you that he's fired if that happens.
Yeah, but then you have Austin Matthews. Then you have to try to figure out, because he's in the Keith Tkachuk situation.
Well, a new GM will come in.
Matthew Tkachuk. I mean, I'm sorry.
A new GM will come in and handle at that point. But
and what happens when he does the Florida situation, where they basically traded off all their first round draft picks till 2025? So, and I know it's that How I Met Your Mother joke of whose problem that is? That's future Ted's. But it's you got to think about it as a team, because Anthony, all you need is a Peter Chiarelli moment of, you know what, I'm going to re-sign Mikko Koskinen to a big money deal. And everybody look at him and go, holy shit, no, this guy sucks. So, and then look what happened. Koskinen finally was a free agent. No NHL team touched him. And I know he went back to the KHL or whatever, but come on. Somebody couldn't have gotten there. So,
to answer State of Survival's question here, Mayfield can be an unrestricted free agent this offseason. He's been severely underpaid for the last, 3-4 years. He makes $1.45 million, and for a guy as steady as him, that's a real steal. He's definitely going to get a raise for sure, and it's going to be well deserved. Whether the Islanders can afford it or not, I don't know. If the Islanders are a good team again, I could tell you that they would not move him, even though he could be a UFA. If they struggle and it looks like they may miss the playoffs, I guess there's a chance that he could be traded. I think he could, as a rental, making so little, I think he can get back a good, a pretty solid piece. But overall, I would say that Lou will try to keep him and, extend him going forward. But we'll have to see what the price will be. But right now, he is very underpaid, and that makes his value to other teams pretty high.
And a matter of fact, that you can get a guy like, if the Islanders are out of playoff contention, everyone's going to be knocking on their door for him.
Yeah,
that's simple.
He's a big, mean defenseman who could actually, for a guy his size, move pretty well. Yeah.
Because at the trade deadline, here's what you look for: bottom six and bottom pairing D. You don't often get a power play quarterback or a 100-point scorer, or like the Claude Giroux thing is rare. Pavel Bure getting moved is rare. It's just, it doesn't happen as often. By the way, I gotta. Wait, go ahead. What do you got on this one?
I'd be very surprised. I would say no, but if there's a player that comes along, for instance, we talked about Patrick Kane and, competing with the Rangers for him. If, it came down to, Ratty having to be in the package so the Rangers didn't get him, then I guess maybe there's a chance I could see it. But other than that, I would say Lou prefers not to trade Ratu. Him and Dufour are their best prospects, so I don't really see him wanting to do that.
Atu Ratu. Eventually we'll figure out what name he's going with. Hey, Anthony, I just got to address these two comments right here. Oh, actually, hold on. We got another one to throw in here. Would the Rangers trade Matthew Robertson? They would trade anybody. They just traded Nils Lundqvist. But I think the reason why is that I think they're looking at Matthew Robertson as a potential bottom six defenseman on this team right now. And you know what? He didn't look bad last night. There wasn't anything noticeable.
Yeah.
Which, sometimes defensemen they're better not getting noticed. Because if you're not noticing them, there's no problems.
Like you said, Mark, anybody get traded. They just traded Nils Lundqvist, but being that, would they really want to trade another young defenseman? I don't know. I don't see it happening anytime soon.
Again, you got to keep your costs down. You got to keep your costs down. AZ is saying, if the Islanders playoff bound, I could see Lou getting a veteran like Blake Wheeler for a run.
Yeah, that's
good.
That's right in Lou's wheel.
Extra year.
Exactly. Yes. That's right in Lou's wheelhouse. However, the extra year, 8.25, he'd be, 37 years old next year. Want no part of it. Part of it.
And that's where a lot of teams are probably going to look at that and get a little bit scared off. Well, just first off, the first priority of next year is, what are you going to do with Matt Barzal? And the Rangers honestly, only have not the Rangers, the Islanders. Sorry, Richard Panik is coming off the books.
I wouldn't, based on Barzal's comments, I wouldn't be surprised if a deal got done before the regular season started. It's definitely in the stages of where they've been talking. So I could see it happening at some point during this year. And like I said, maybe even before the season starts. Who knows? Lou keeps everything close to his chest. He would never let out how negotiations are going. So, could just come out of nowhere one day. Taking over to Lou, I don't know. This question's come up, over the summer and whatnot. And it's hard to say. I mean, you can make the direct line to his son, Chris Lamorello, general manager of Bridgeport. But I don't know. I'm not sure if I see that, especially if things don't go well and the owners step in and, let go of Lou, then that definitely wouldn't happen. So depending on how this shakes down, but I would think Lou would want to hand the job over to maybe someone with a little bit more experience. I don't know if he has that nepotism in where he would favor his son there. I would at least hope not. But other than that, I mentioned his name before. Kevin Weeks was in the conversations for some GM positions this past offseason. I think he's a great mind. I would be open to that. Barry. There are thoughts that Barry Trotz wanted to get into, to be a general manager. I wouldn't even be opposed to Barry coming back to being the GM if Lou was let go. But I don't know. There's coaches and executives get recycled. I'm sure there's many other names out there of ex-GMs that could be candidates and assistant general managers that are in roles elsewhere right now. So it really is hard to say. But just off the top of my head, I would say Kevin Weeks would be maybe a possibility.
And look, let me first, before we go on from Lou, and I address two comments that are right here, going back to the Barclay Goodrow conversation. But I got to credit three guys for changing around the Islanders, because when you look at the Islanders logo, it's not a joke anymore. And it was, let's be honest, it was getting there for a little while again. They went up, they were starting to be good. And then they were backtracking. Then Tavares left, and you're going, oh, they're going to be so bad. They went to 2 conference finals. They had a great run in his first. They're a winning organization again. That's the number one thing. The UBS arena is a thing. The culture is completely different there. Lou's job is done in a way. Barry Trotz's job is done. The question is, can they just carry that on? Hopefully they find whoever it is, whether or not it's his son, whether or not it's somebody with a similar vision to keep the culture, but a different way of doing it. I kind of sort of like, and I'll use Chris Drury as an example for lack of a better way to say it, but it's because Chris Drury basically came in and said, we got the Rangers in place. We got the talent. Let's focus on making them tougher to play against. The Islanders are a tough team to play against. Nobody goes and thinks of UBS Arena as here's 2 points. So that's already done. So no matter what we're ever going to say about Lou on here, him and Barry Trotz, and again, Ledecky gets credit on this too. They all did their jobs. The Islanders have a different culture. And there's one final piece, and that's they have to sign a big name free agent. Hey, Donnell, how's it going? What are you guys' thoughts on ads on the Adidas practice jerseys and NHL jerseys, which certain teams have ads and some teams don't? Anthony, you start.
I thought I was going to hate this much more than I do. I was always opposed for ads on jerseys and didn't want any part of it. But after seeing some of the teams and their ads, I mean, it doesn't really bother me too much. For the most part, it's just a small little logo right here. It's not the end of the world. So I'm actually kind of indifferent about it. Whereas, years ago, I thought I would have absolutely hated it. So that's just my thoughts on it.
If you grab any jersey right now, there's always going to be like something on the back of the neck. So already there's been some kind of ads. I do fear about opening up Pandora's box. I don't want a lot of ads on a Rangers jersey. I just don't. So you keep it to where it is. Maybe 1, maybe 2, maybe 3. That's about it. I don't want them to look like NASCAR drivers.
I do like the Islanders' 50th anniversary logo. It's got the gold in it, and I think it looks neat. And as you referenced, it is on the center ice at UBS Arena. I think it looks cool. And haven't really noticed the Devils one yesterday.
I noticed it late last night.
I don't know if it was at center ice or I just missed it, but a lot of these teams for these anniversaries do patches. It's just par for the course. But I hope for the Islanders' 50th anniversary that they got surprise in store throughout the year with bringing all the alumni back and whatnot. So we'll see how it plans out. But yeah, I like the patch they're going to wear on the jerseys. I like it at center ice. It's all good. They got it right.
Yeah, and you know what? always honor the history of your team, because when you don't, it just feels weird when people aren't doing that.
Yeah.
You know what, Chris T, that's a hot take, and I don't think it's wrong. I will tell you this. They're sending them back to juniors because you got a slide contract. So why not give it one more year before you have to get it on
that
there?
certainly is the hot take. And if that happened, Kravtsov would certainly ask to be traded. That's for sure.
Well, these were the comments I was talking about before when I talked about the fact that the Rangers needed to keep Barclay Goodrow because of his role. Romanello was right. You need fourth line guys. You don't fucking pay him $3 million a year. Although I'll tell that to the Islanders, who have Cizikas was making over 3. Martin was making a good amount of money, and Clutterbuck was making that too, because everybody called them the best fourth line in hockey. They could sign a replacement center for cheaper price. That is right too. I mean, after all, think about what was it? It was 2015 when they let Brian Boyle go, but that ended up being a mistake, Anthony. So that's another reason why you got to look at that. By the way, Anthony, just to address one thing, I would not mind if people wanted to sponsor Big Apple hockey shirts. I will definitely throw your ad on anywhere. So, but yeah, David, you're a little bit more like a purist with me. Well, here's a question, and Core's right about this, and we've been trying to figure this one out as well. Is that ad on the retail jersey as well?
Yeah, that. I saw something
some are
with the
yes,
Wild.
some are not.
I saw something with the Wild that pissed people off that they were on there. I mean, have you look? Can you go on like Fanatics or NHL Shop and go to a team that has an ad and see if when you go to buy the jersey if it's on there or not?
Yeah, I'll do that. I'll look at that. I'll look at that right now. All right, so we're going to Fanatics. Do you know a team that's got it?
The Wild, the Maple Leafs.
All right, so we'll go with the Wild. I can't believe the Maple Leafs needed one.
Milk. That's the Maple Leaf says milk on their jerseys.
All right, so far on all the Fanatic ones, I'm not seeing anything on the Wild.
Yeah, I'm looking now too. Authentic jersey. I don't see it on the jersey.
Nope. And I'm not seeing anything on the front of a Maple Leafs jersey. Yeah. Although they have this one, there's this black Maple Leafs jersey that's got a Leafs. It's all in gold, and it's got a black leaf with a gold leaf on the inside, and it looks like
you didn't see that. They wore that last year, man. You know, it was the It was the Justin Bieber jersey. It was reversible. The other side, it was designed by Bieber. You didn't.
Oh dear God. I don't know. You know what? I'm looking at it more. I don't know if I like it or not. But
you live under a rock, Mark.
Yeah, I think I was living under a rock at the moment. It tells you I'm working way too much. But yeah, cutting back on those hours right now. I'll tell you that.
Speaking of which, I think the league's new reverse retro jersey program is being unveiled on October 15th. I heard that was the date. We already saw some of the jerseys leak, like the Oilers jerseys. The Oilers reverse retro jersey leaked. And then I think that's one of the only ones that did leak, the Oilers one. And there's a couple of the others that are rumored, like the Islanders. Apparently, it's going to be the Fisherman. The Bruins are going to have like what they called the Pooh Bear jersey version.
Yeah.
Trying to think what else. The Capitals
the Canucks jersey got leaked.
Yeah, he's right. Yeah, I did see that one. That was the first one. Yeah,
and so is Donnell right there. He's saying that.
And I think the Capitals are going to have the Screaming Eagle jersey. In the blue, because they had it as the Screaming Eagle came back as the reverse retro the first time around, but it was in their current color scheme. I think this year around it's going to be like the old blue and black jerseys. You know which one I'm talking about? When Ovechkin first came in the league. Yeah.
I mean, those I used to like those too. Like they weren't that bad, but then every single DC team went red, so I wouldn't have been surprised making it. They do have a red version of that jersey, I think.
Yeah, it was the reverse retro the first year they came out with it.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Sharks, the reverse retro is going to be a Seals jersey, from what I hear.
Yes, they're doing the California Seals.
Yeah, that'll be cool.
Answer David's question
changes
right here, by the way. Do hockey players command money on sticks like NBA players, or command money on sneakers, or MLB players on bats? Actually, I think they get paid out from the stick manufacturers, don't they?
Yeah, I think
individually.
So. Yeah.
Yeah, like everybody's got their different thing. I'm trying to remember if Crosby was CCM. I'm trying to remember who the Bauer guys are. Are you a Bauer guy? What type of stick are you?
Warrior.
Okay.
This is another one, Mark. The Hurricanes, they have their retro jersey, or this year is going to be their original jersey they had when they moved to Carolina. That one came out. I don't know if you saw it. Jersey news. Vegas.
I'm trying to think of what the hell the difference would be from the one that's right now, but
Vegas's golden jerseys are no longer their alternates. Their gold is going to be their primary home, and their old homes are going to now be their alternates.
Well, maybe I don't get wrapped up on the jersey conversation as much, because for me and the New York Rangers, I just want the diagonal letters in the blue shirt. That's it.
He's right.
All I want. But then again, you got a team for me like the San Jose Sharks. I still think that's the best non-original six logo.
Speaking of the Shark, did you at least see the Sharks' new home and away jerseys? They went back to teal.
Okay, very nice.
They're gonna wear teal. It's all teal with a teal helmet too. It's pretty cool. And Christy, you're right. That Canes jersey is not a reverse retro. It's just I think it's an anniversary jersey. I think their reverse retro jersey, I would assume, is going to be another Whalers variation. The first one was gray, so maybe they do a variation of the green one. I don't know, but I'm actually kind of curious to see what the reverse retro will be.
David, it took me a while to warm up to the Statue of Liberty jerseys. It just did. I didn't. Oh, part of it had to do with every time they wore them, they were on Fox and they lost. I then ended up liking those jerseys when they went to a white version of that.
Anthony? Yeah, I was going to. Speaking of the white version, I wonder if the Rangers reverse retro will be a white version of the Liberty this year.
Yeah,
because their reverse retro last year when they did the program, or was it 2 years ago, whatever it was now, I forget. It was Lady Liberty, but in blue, which they had no stripes in the bottom, which I thought was weird. It looked a little off. So yeah, maybe they do a white version of that.
The 90s were like the era of let's make the stripes in weird angles or whatever. I mean, the Islanders one was a bit of a wave.
Yeah.
So
what else? Buffalo. Buffalo's bringing back the goat head jersey, but that's not.
Yep.
That's not reverse retro. I think that's just a straight alternate jersey.
Yeah, it's a straight alternate. Yeah. They're bringing back that one. Buffalo's one of the rare ones that I look over and go, "There's no bad jerseys for them."
No, the Buffalo's always done pretty well with it. Well, actually, no. When they first left the red and black and went to navy blue and yellow, that was terrible. When they first changed jerseys, I did not like that logo.
Okay. Rumor is the Rangers reverse retro is going to be the Liberty. No, that's what we just had just a second ago.
In their normal blues.
Romanel, that would be a disaster. Wooden stick night.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm assuming you're giving them out to all the fans. That would be terrible in New York, especially under our new laws.
Fanatics. The Fanatics replicas are really bad. And the Adidas Prime Green BS they're better than the Fanatics though. I don't buy Fanatics jerseys. I get the quote unquote authentics, which they still charge you. What is it, $229 for an authentic jersey, unlettered, or
the
no,
NHL
189, 189.
Find a way
I think
to make it more affordable. I mean, they've been doing that for a long time. Like, I mean, the authentics are not, and then it used to be that the replicas didn't have the fighting strap, and now the replicas have the fighting strap. So,
no, what replicas have a fighting strap?
Oh, I don't know. They always had the fighting strap whenever I got them, but then again, I got bootlegs for a long time.
No, the Fanatics jerseys don't have fight straps. Just the quote unquote authentics from NHL Shop that are 189 or whatever the price is. Those have fighting straps, but a regular replica from Fanatics doesn't have a fight strap.
By the way, I had this question. Somebody put it up when they did the goat head. Said, what player do you think about? And it was on Twitter. So when you had the goat head jersey, what player do you think about other than Dominik Hasek? Obviously,
Miroslav Shatan, Jason Woolley. Those are some of the guys that come to mind.
Stu Barnes is mine. I loved Stu Barnes.
I did not know a baseball authentic jersey is $400. That's crazy.
What?
I did just notice because I got a Josh Allen jersey off NFL Shop, and I got I think the basic Nike replica was like $129. I got the one like the next step up for $159, but I did see on the site an authentic NFL jersey. Mark, take a guess at how much it was.
How much?
Take a guess.
500.
$349.
Okay, because
$349 for an authentic NFL jersey. I'm like, damn, that's absolutely not. There's no way I could justify spending that much money on an NFL jersey. There's no way.
By the way, Dominic was saying Michael Pekka's who he thinks about with the goat head jersey, which isn't a bad one as well. State's saying bring back the Easton sticks. I miss those aluminum sticks. My wrist shots are amazing. Actually, by the way, do you remember? Actually, not remember, but do you know who the last NHL player was to use an aluminum stick? And if I'm correct, it's Tom Pody.
Really?
He's still at an aluminum stick all the way in. There was a good one. There was a good one that was over here before. Daniel Briere, by the way. Wow. That's going a little bit later than what I thought. I mean, Cora's saying Nike better not take over all the stuff. I think that's the one you were hitting too. Anthony.
Yeah, because you're right. I think, was it next year? That's Adidas's last year. I think next year is Adidas's last year as the jersey provider for the NHL. I think it's this year and one more year. So, I mean, who's left? I mean, Reebok already did it. I gotta assume it's either going to be CCM or Nike, right? I mean, what other?
I thought Nike had it in the late 90s and early 2000s.
I mean, I know back in the day, I think like teams had different. It wasn't universal across the board. Like I know the Red Wings had Nike on their jerseys back like when Fedorov was skating around with the white skates. But no, I don't think Nike ever universally across the board made NHL jerseys. I think some teams were made by Starter, some teams were made by CCM. Yeah. It was never that way. Yeah, I guess Under Armour, I didn't think of that, but I would assume Nike might step up. Nike or CCM. I mean, I would love for CCM jerseys to come back. They were always pretty good quality. But
I mean, I don't even know. Starter's still a brand, right? Because I know that they sell their stuff in Walmart.
Who?
Starter? Still a brand?
I'm not sure.
Yeah. They were getting this for me. There's even though there's a video I do want to make saying, what does your jersey collection say about you? Although you got to be careful with your jerseys. Like, Anthony, I just found out the other day, I got a package that came in and I'm like, all right, what's up with this? I open it up. It's a Jeff McNeil jersey in blue for the Mets. And I already bought a Jeff McNeil jersey 2 weeks earlier and completely forgot that I ordered that. So maybe don't order jerseys when you've been drinking either, by the way. That's another.
Yeah, I have a Vegas away with Mark Stone on the back, which honestly, if we can get enough viewership, so maybe we could raffle off here. If you promote it, on there, get some. I could do that. But I have a Avalanche home. I have a Penguins away. I have a Blues retro. Then I have some Islander jerseys. So I actually have intended on getting on Makar on the back of the Avalanche one and then selling it. But I have a decent amount.
You might as well, because he's the greatest player ever to lace up skates. Can't think of any better players than Cale Makar right now. Period. Anywhere. Ever. No. Anybody else? Anybody else having that trouble? As we outlined earlier in the show.
And he's right.
Nike does the IHL.
Yeah.
It's just I don't want Nike to touch anything.
I mean, they do a pretty good job on the NFL jerseys. I like some of the jerseys some of the NFL teams have. They're nice.
Yeah, we're talking about jersey brands right now, Chris G. But whoa, hold on. These new sticks don't have curves. I used to use a wooden Coho and a CCM Ultra Tax. Well, I mean, was it CCM that had the Euro blade that was like, it was almost like a hook? How big it was curved. I mean, I'm going back now. Jesus Christ. It's Anthony, it scares me to say 30 years for when I started really playing ice hockey and stuff like that. That's terrifying. And Anthony just muted. So hopefully you can still hear me. But yeah, Starter is still a brand. As AZ is saying, they bought by Nike years ago. Nike resold the Starter brand to an iconic group. Okay. So that's it. Majestic lost the MLB deal to Nike last year, so maybe them. I mean, just Nike, just all the freaking time. Nike. We talk about corporations that you just hate in America, and that's just one of them. Donna, I'm gonna get back to that 1 second. AZ was asking Mark off topic. How about the Dolphins, contenders or not after 3 games? Talk to me end of October. That's my opinion on them. I've seen how many teams just period over professional sports have you seen coming in hot and then even through 3 quarters of the season and then not make the playoffs? You have the New Orleans Saints. I think they were 6-0 in 1994 or 93. I think it was 93. No, it was 94. And they ended up not making the playoffs. Or, I mean, I've seen the Dolphins at 9-2 miss the playoffs. I've seen there's so much of it, or they just barely get there. So you never can tell that just with NFL teams. Look at the Mets last year. Look at you never know with injuries and stuff like that. The reason why it doesn't happen as much in hockey is because of the 3-point game. 3-point game. If you get it to a hot start, you could be there and hold on for a little bit longer. Donnell was saying about the Hurricanes 25th anniversary jerseys need to be their home jersey, not the black jersey, though it's nice, and don't like the Golden Knights having the gold jersey as the home jersey. I got to actually check that out because I've been looking. I've been focusing on all the other stuff too. If you guys haven't seen it, I put up a list of the most underpaid players based off of what Big Daddy was asking last week during the Q&A. And I actually think it's a pretty good list for everything. Whoa, there we go. Chargers snapback polo. Oh, geez. $179? Yeah, see, it looks nice.
Starter jackets still exist, Mark.
Wow. Mine was stolen in high school. So
why don't you pick that bad boy up?
Maybe not for the Chargers. I think I still got a Dolphins jacket around somewhere. Who was the last player to get a penalty for an illegal curve? I haven't seen an illegal curve since the 90s. Do you guys know? That's a great question. I do know Paul Coffey, I believe, got a minor back when it was Rangers versus Detroit in 95, like December of 95. So there's that. Yeah, I mean, Michael Jordan made Nike. That is right on that one, David. By the way, that's actually good. Anthony and I both have a couple share screens up, so now I know I could do that in StreamYard. Yeah, Vikings 8-0. They missed the playoffs, or the Josh McDaniel. What was it? Josh McDaniel Broncos 6-0. I think they were. I didn't even know Adidas was an option back then. Oh, yeah. Don't remind me on that one. On the last game of the season, Dolphins lost to the Cardinals with Josh McCown as quarterback. So, or 93, they played. David's reminding me on that one. Dolphins played a terrible Pats team that had one good starter against the Ravens and barely beat a depleted Buffalo Bills team. Don't get ahead of yourself. The Dolphins should have scored 40 on the Bills. I don't know about that, but again, I'm agreeing with you. Don't get too far ahead of that. By the way, everybody, this is just absolutely unbelievable.
His 23rd of the year.
Watching these highlights of Connor Bedard, that is just as Anthony's fixing that. You might have to take the sound off, Anthony. Just make sure you do that.
The Deacon scores. Oh my! Does it get any better than that? Connor Bedard puts on a show. He finds the back of the cage. Building buzzing on the road. Regina back in this thing. Trail it 2-1.
And all I'm doing is crossing my fingers that guy does not end up on the Philadelphia Flyers.
An ankle breaker on Sutter comes in and he shoots the puck with his stick through the legs and it goes in. Not sure how many spectacular goals Bedard has had.
Core, I spent money on authentic. If it was the same thing the players would wear, don't lie to me that Adidas is. DSA, and I grew up in Central Ice Cliff. Somebody stole my personal USA jersey when I played on the junior team. Oh, nice. If anyone finds a 16 Ely USA jersey, snatch it up for me. All right. So I didn't know that about you, D. All right.
Mark.
Yes.
What were your thoughts on that Connor Bedard goal that he scored the other night?
The amount, first off, the toe drag around the defenseman. That's amazing. And he did it all at top speed and almost with ease. He was almost toying with them. And then the between the legs flip over the goaltender. I've seen Pavel Datsyuk do that as a shootout move. Not between his legs though.
He's insane. And my question I want to pose to you as a Ranger fan, would you rather be good and make the playoffs this year, or would you rather be bad enough and tank to get Connor Bedard?
They still have the first round pick. So the short answer is I'd rather them go for the cup.
Wow.
I mean, if you think you got a realistic chance, here are my short list on teams right now. And Anthony, I got 1 week to come up with a reason.
I'm going to stop you here though. Yeah, say you make the playoffs and you win a round, you win 2 rounds and lose. Kind of just wouldn't you rather just get a generational player like Connor Bedard and then just change the course of your franchise? Because that's what he's going to do. Whoever gets him, the course of their franchise is changing. For it's just fact. My personal choice is, and I'm a diehard Islander fan. There's nothing like playoff hockey. I would sacrifice. I mean, obviously, this is all hypothetical because nothing guaranteed. But if it was guaranteed, I would rather suck and miss the playoffs and get Connor Bedard than I would make playoffs. I don't know. Maybe I'm in the minority there, but I want Connor Bedard in my team that bad that I'd rather be a laughing stock and go through a miserable year than make the playoffs.
Let me quote Seinfeld for a minute. And that Kramer made this promise to this boy in the hospital that Paul O'Neill was going to hit 2 home runs. And he walks into the locker room and Paul O'Neill just says to him, 2 home runs? Are you crazy? You know how hard it is to hit 1? So again, if you're telling me that the position, because here's the short list of teams I think right now that can win a Stanley Cup. the Colorado Avalanche, obviously, because they just won one. The Tampa Bay Lightning, because they won the previous two. Maybe Carolina, Rangers, St. Louis Blues, and I think the Calgary Flames as well. So I think there's 6 teams right off the top of my head. You're on those 6 teams that I think that could win, and I'm going for one cup. It doesn't matter if they don't get the generational player. Sometimes, and trust me, by the way, Anthony, for the track record the Rangers have, they could draft Connor Bedard, Connor McDavid, and Sidney Crosby all in their prime. They fuck them up because they don't know what they're doing with prospects.
Yeah, I don't know. I disagree. I don't think you named the Blues. Blues aren't winning another cup with Binnington. I mean, he doesn't have Ville Husso there anymore to save his ass when he was playing like crap. Binnington was garbage for most of the year. And, thankfully for the Blues, he played respectably in the playoffs. I don't think the Blues.
Who is the backup now? I got to look that up. Thanks.
Thomas Greiss.
Oh yeah, that's right.
I don't think the Blues can. I think the teams that could realistically win the cup are the Avalanche, the Lightning, the Hurricanes, the Flames, and that's it right now.
So in that case with the Rangers, you think it wasn't indicative of progress. You just think they had a good run. That was it.
No, don't get me wrong. The Rangers are a really good team. I don't know if I put them in the cup conversation yet, just because I still think their D, especially the bottom pairing, is going to be young and inexperienced. And I don't really think that's a recipe to winning a cup. And, they're Kakko and Lafreniere. I mean, if Kakko and Lafreniere break out, then that would really help them. But right now, they could also use some more scoring throughout the lineup. But don't get me wrong, they're still a very good team. I just only have those, 5 teams I named as the teams I think that can win the Stanley Cup right now.
Now, by the way, Romanell asked a very important question right now, because Connor Bedard is good. But is he as good as Kel McCarr? No one.
Yeah, and Wicked agreed, but the only problem is Wicked, the man in between the pipes that wears number 30 is way too good to, have that happen. And obviously also, Pelech and Pollock and Dobson and Barzell and Nelson, they're too good in that regard to bottom out. You would need to suffer a catastrophic injury for that to realistically happen. So that's fantasy land. And on the flip side of it, Mark, I think the teams that truly have the ability to get Bedard right now are the Coyotes, the Canadiens, the Blackhawks, and
Flyers,
the Flyers, and maybe Buffalo.
I mean, trust me, John Tortorella is not going to let them go quietly. But the Flyers, they're not set up to win. Then they're not going to be there. And I'm not trying to slam on the Flyers or their fans right now. And trust me, I'll talk plenty of smack with Philadelphia, but it's not right now the time. It's the Flyers are in there. They just
could you imagine if the Flyers did get Connor Bedard?
Oh no, I don't. I'll put it this way: I don't want to think about him wearing a Flyers jersey.
You know how ugly that would be.
Oh. It'd be ugly for a lot of, because I mean, last time the Flyers had a number 1 draft pick, he was pretty good for a long time. They had the trade to get him, but still, it's true. By the way, Wicked's also asking this. Supposedly this draft is going to be like 2003 and 2015-esque. Are you buying into the hype?
Not yet. I think I need to also learn more about the draft. I mean, obviously, I know it's top heavy with Bedard and Michkov, and there's a couple other good guys there at the top. But I'll have to read up more before I can answer that right now. But 2015 was unbelievable. Oh, look at this, Christy! This is a team that Bedard will be a Shark.
Yeah, they're another one that's in there. Well, let's just make sure the Sharks still have. They should. There should be no way that they don't have their first round pick. I mean. And yes, they got their first round pick. So, and a 3rd rounder from Carolina right now. So
see, Roman, I'm the opposite. Let him go to Montreal. I mean, they're in the East with the Rangers and the Islanders, but they're not in the same division. I mean, Bedard. Canadian fans are a little insufferable, not as insufferable as Maple Leaf fans. So I'm sure if they got Bedard, it would get tiring hearing them. But I wouldn't mind if he went to Montreal. Philly, though, Bedard going to Philly, it would be ugly. It would be ugly.
I gotta just check that one because I did not hear that. But
not hear what?
That Connor Bedard is going to ASU, huh?
Oh, Mark.
No, because it's not true. That's the reason why.
See, this is the reason why. Over your head, Mark. ASU, the Coyotes are playing at a college arena. You're saying Bedard is going to the Coyotes.
You know what? All right. Thanks, Corey. You got me on that one. Oh, boy. I fell right for it because I'm sitting there going, wait, suddenly he committed to a college? Because, I mean, ASU is getting pretty big. But by the way, you don't have to worry about that, Core, because if one thing Arizona knows, they ain't winning the lottery.
You want to see yourself out after that one, Mark?
Yeah. All right. All right. I'm just gonna stop the case. Oh boy, it's what happens when you sometimes just get too literal. But no, I mean, Bedard is he's gonna dominate a lot of headlines this year, a la the same way that the way that McDavid really dominated a lot of headlines. And then you had Jack Eichel that came along and basically said, hey guys, what about me?
The thing about Bedard is he only turned 17 in July. So this kid's fresh off of being 16 and he's this good already. I mean, it's unbelievable.
This guy, and the way that he's doing everything, but again, you're not going to do stuff like that when you get to the professional ranks, because two things. Because by the way, Trevor Zegras is never going to do the Michigan pass ever again, because everybody knows it's available to him.
No, he'll do it again. Are you kidding me? He's going to do it again. It's not going to stop him. He has that personality. He's going to do it. Believe me.
Players don't like to be shown up.
No, but look how many times he's attempted Michigan. He's done it multiple times, so it's not going to stop him. I'm telling you. Oh,
by the way, Anthony, did you see the video? Speaking about Trevor Zegras' personality, did you see the video of what if hockey players had NFL starting greetings? Like,
yeah, where you say, Josh Allen, Wyoming. Yeah.
And in this case, it would be Jack Eichel, Boston University. And then it goes over to Trevor Zegras, and Trevor Zegras says, Trevor Zegras, Hogwarts School of Wizardry. Like, you know what? You're right about that. That guy has way too much fun with life, which is a good thing. Will Sonny Milano make the Flames?
Yes.
I agree with you on that one 100%. So just in case, if we're not clear about that one, I'm buying everybody around on that one, State. Sonny Milano is going to make so first off, Sonny Milano is a total Daryl Sutter player. I mean, he's going to love him. He's going to love him some Sonny Milano. I love old sticks, nothing like a wooden blade. You know what? A little bit of both. I used to practice with a wooden stick and just tie a 25 pound weight to it and just practice my wrist shot. I never bent my stick for years. It wasn't until recently I started bending my stick. I know everybody thinks it's a little bit weird, but I used to whip it pretty good. And I'm still talking about the stick too. Anyway, I still hope Bedard will be playing in Basel at the under 18. I know he won't, but still hoping. Yeah, well, maybe he might. Ooh, Jordan Staal retires at year's end? I don't think so. Reason why I'll say that is because I think he's only, Eric Staal is going to retire. We know that. I would say that because, I mean, he's 37, 38. He's on a PTO right now. Jordan Stahl's 34. I don't know. I think Jordan Stahl's got many more good years. Still wants to bring a Stanley Cup home. By the way, I haven't checked on it in a while. Let's see how we're doing. 21 likes so far, guys. We need to get that up a little bit more, as I have a lot more energy than I have more energy. I wouldn't say a lot more energy than I did last week. So, D, I'm going to say no, Jordan Staal isn't there. Imagine if Kane has a 90-point season and he ruined Chicago's chance at Bedard. Yep. I think he's actually hung it up. And I actually don't know if it's illegal to use a wooden stick. I think it still can. Jen's asking, by the way, hi, Jen. Welcome back to the show. I'd like to see Bedard to Arizona. Would be nice to see hockey work there. Yeah, I mean, first, probably, I still think I'm a future Arizona resident. I have my family's there as it is anyway. It's where they all moved. I'm still trying to figure out where I'm moving when I move out of New York. I love New York, but it's I don't know. That's just the way I'll say that. Moving back to this. I think NHL wants it to work in Arizona. There's plenty of passionate Arizona fans. I think they're the whipping boy franchise of the league. But the truth is, Glendale was the worst place for them to put a stadium. And it's the same way Tampa Bay has got plenty of baseball fans that put it on the wrong side of Tampa. If you put it on the opposite side of, I think it was a bridge that Tampa's on. I gotta look it up again. But if you don't put it in the Thunderdome, back when that was the hockey team that used to play there, then yeah, it could actually work. David is saying, I want Bedard to go to Arizona when they finally move to Quebec, and then he brings them a cup like they should have had in 1997. David, I got a great question for you, and it's one that I've been wanting to do more episodes of the What If series that we did. But what if Patrick Roy was never what if Montreal never moved? Because then Patrick Roy, sorry, not Montreal. What if Quebec never moved? Then they wouldn't be dealing Patrick Roy to the Quebec Nordiques. So, and then they wouldn't have won a Stanley Cup. Well, Tampa's got a lot of fans, not just Yankee fans. And yes, because that's where the Yankees practice facility is. Matter of fact, I believe it's right across the street from Raymond James. But it's also, I mean, that's where all the Grapefruit Leagues teams play all of Florida. So it's lots. I know the Orioles had a big presence down there, and that's what made them stay. Oh, Tampa. Okay. But Bedard could bring Matthews to the desert. It would change the face of hockey there. Yes. And from what I'm hearing, tickets are expensive to go there. Actually, I really want to see what that's going to be like. Because if you sell that as a luxury event or just a crazy atmosphere, 5,000 fans, and it's really loud. And I mean, every player talks about how much they love living in Arizona, but not necessarily playing for the Coyotes. That's what it always talks about. Mullet Arena, yes. And remember the Sherwood hockey sticks? They were basically 2x4 with a curve. Yes, they were. Those things were lumbering. They were, I mean, they were big weights by themselves. By the way, on the poll before, it was, what would you bet on? Or what's the best bet? The Rangers to win the Stanley Cup was at plus 1,700, I think. That won with 39%. The Islanders making the playoffs was a good bet. Oh, there was Big Daddy did comment before. I never got a chance to see him. And no, I again, I don't see DeBrincat or Patrick Kane on this team next year. And I have no idea what's going on with the YouTube feed. I keep going back and forth. But anyway, so right now it's 217. Let's say 245 because we know that that's going to be Plenty of time. I can't wait to go to the game tomorrow. And David, you know what? I think a lot of away fans are going to do that. So not like that Arizona is a great travel place, although it's great for me. I get to go. That actually might happen, Romanel. I would not be surprised. I mean, they're a ASU is starting to become a ranked team in college hockey, but I'm hearing that they're crazy tickets. I have to check them out. And 5,000 seats. They could get a new arena. That'd be great. No, I don't have the jersey. My seats tomorrow are this is riveting internet and radio. I'm in 224. 224 row 19. It's where my friend Dave has got his tickets. So
Number 61 is it there? Yes.
Yes.
McGuire is alone with Roger Maris.
Although, Anthony, while you're there, because I remember that happened on a Sunday, and I had hockey practice the next day, so me and my grandfather actually missed out on it. 62, I think, was the better call because, and I ask people about this all the time. Who's the first person to congratulate Marc McGuire for hitting number 62? And oh, that's why you took the starter jacket. You know what? Donnell, it's not so much I think that they don't have fans. I think some of them sometimes are put in the wrong spots. City planners, just especially when it comes to Arizona, the city plan was not there. Mark Grace, by the way, David. Mark Grace high-fived him as soon as he ran around first base. But sometimes they just botch it. And putting them in Glendale, nobody wants to go to Glendale. They'll do that 8 times for a football season. They're not doing it 40 times for a hockey season. What they should have done is try to find a way to get him in Phoenix or in Tempe like they wanted to be, because that was really what it was. Oh, Anthony's got a new highlight. He's got
single-handedly. In 20,
here we go.
Your extremely hyped prospect ended up getting taken by the Edmonton Oilers. Connor McDavid, the only other first overall pick besides Crosby and Alex Ovechkin, with over a point per game in their first NHL season since Eric Lindros in the early 90s. McDavid's now also highly regarded as the best hockey player in the world currently. And now coming up in the 2023 draft, it looks like we have another generational talent that will put his name alongside Crosby and McDavid. It's the 16-year-old phenom Connor Bedard, who was born just weeks before Sidney Crosby was drafted in 2005. The British Columbia native is in his second season with the Regina Pats of the Western Hockey League after getting exceptional status to be able to play in the league as just a 15-year-old. Bedard had a great showing in his rookie year in the Dub, despite playing only 15 games. And we're not watching this entire
video, are we?
And although he had a bit of a slower start to his second season, he really has started to heat up as of late. He currently
although if Anthony can, let's post the link to that in the comments right now, so that way you guys can see the rest of that.
There's no doubt Bedard is on his way to becoming a superstar. But is he an even better prospect than Connor McDavid was too? Back when McDavid got his exceptional status as a 15-year-old, he played in the Ontario Hockey League, still a part of the CHL, but not the exact same league that Bedard plays in right now. McDavid played for the Erie Otters and had a respectable first season, putting up 66 points in 63 games for a 1.05 point per game average. Last year, when Bedard played his 15-year-old season for Regina, he lit it up even more with 28 points in his 15 games for a 1.8.
I think I'm just thinking later on how I have to strike all that because it's someone else's video.
There you go. So is Connor Bedard a better prospect than Connor McDavid? I'll let you answer that question, Mark.
I don't think so yet. I think he's got the raw tools to possibly be, but I mean, McDavid, people were talking about him. Yes, 2 years out. If it is, he's doing everything at top speed better than McDavid was. McDavid was breathtaking. That's what I'm going to say with that. Anthony, you?
I think he might be. I think he's got a better shot than McDavid. His shot and release is unbelievable. Skating is definitely McDavid. That he gets the nod there, but I think everywhere else it's really, really close. It's and that's why I was surprised when you said that as a Ranger fan you'd rather make the playoffs this year than tank for Bedard. I think getting Bedard changes the fortunes of your organization, and I think adding him to your team is worth 1 year of suffering. That's just my opinion.
But there's no guarantee you're going to be able to do it. That's just it. There's no guarantee the Rangers are going to, if the Rangers were the worst team in hockey, that they'd end up being there. So, yeah, but Donnell, and to answer this again, I think there's just those cities that you have to put a winning product on and to get the fans to come. If you don't, your team's going to be overrun like the Panthers will be with New York fans, Boston fans, LA fans, Chicago fans. They're the major cities all blow them out of the water. And even State's saying they're like a poor man's Islanders. I'll even say they're a poor man Winnipeg Jets. They're hoping to be less capacity and even louder and more of a celebratorial thing. And yes, Huberdeau probably said something along those lines, but because Tampa Bay, see, the thing is the Panthers aren't Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay, they gravitated more towards hockey. I think in that area, it's just there's less fans, even though Florida made the Stanley Cup Finals in their third season. So, but just that I mentioned it before. Glendale's not a great spot. Sunrise isn't a great spot. It's going to be a great spot to hold an All-Star game. I'll tell you that. And David, no, Regina is what the answer was. Get in the price for AZ versus NYR. It's just over $200. Add flight, place to stay, food, etc. It's over $700. Yeah. And you know what? But if you go there, you end up playing a round of golf. There's a bunch of good golf courses. Just be aware of scorpions and snakes, which I haven't seen either. So I should be happy with that. Because neither one I have. AZ is saying, I can tell you that the Coyotes do have fans, but if a Midwest team plays here or the Rangers visit, 70% of the arena is visiting fans. Yes. Ooh, State's got a good one right here. If you had the option of one of McDavid or Lindros, who would you rather have on your team? Ooh. I am going to go with McDavid because that talent is so unbelievable out there. But that being said, Lindros played in a different time where it was also a little bit tougher for him and to make his mark, so to speak. And it's and when he won the MVP in 95 and it looked like they were going to be a big time team, he was probably one of the best players in the league, 95, 96, 97, 98. And then the contract problem happens. The concussions come in. That's one of those also where you go, well, he's such a big guy. He was used to, Phil said it in our video about him, the worst hockey breakups of all time. So it was easily one of those that he was just used to skating with his head down. So See, that's what I love it. This is where you guys bring it. You know what? You gotta wonder how people are gonna see Bedard compared to Cale Makar. Again, anybody listening right now, Cale Makar is a great player. It's just I don't think he's the greatest player in the world right now. But oh, okay, wait. The Coyotes have some nice prospects. Their centers run 1C through a 3C. They're going to be really Coyotes are setting up to be really good, and they have a lot of assets over the next few years. So that's the other thing. So if they miss on a prospect, they're right there. And as he's telling us, $275 is the lowest price for a ticket. And yeah. See, I just don't understand about that one. I just don't understand. It's October 1st. So I saw a Rangers game in Florida. Well, was told by a Florida fan, a security guard, to sit down during a fight right there. Realized the place was a dumpster fire and should be moved. Yeah. Well, first off, I don't understand why there's fights at sporting events to begin with anyway. Just say your stuff. Sit down. Don't worry about it. Dan, how you doing? Welcome back to the show. I would tank a year for Bedard. But again, you're assuming he's going to be this great player next year, which is not a problem. It's he then has to do it. The Rangers right now, if you're telling me they're in the Stanley Cup Finals or they get the first overall pick, I'm taking the Stanley Cup Finals. I've seen the Rangers in the Stanley Cup Finals twice in my life. And in most people's cases, they're barely at one. And as we're talking about before, Coyotes need to have an arena in Tempe. Really happening town, but they keep building apartments after apartments. Would rather have an arena around there for the Yotes. Yes. And I would like to see those apartment prices come down a little bit. And that was one thing. I mean, when I was looking at new apartments, I was thinking, wow, or even housing. It's like, wow, it's cheap over there. But Arizona's expanding. They're rapidly expanding, and that's what they need to do. Donnell's bringing up that the Coyotes played in Phoenix and the Panthers played in Miami in the 90s, which both teams were selling out in the 90s, if you remember. And yes, that's true. But the Phoenix stadium wasn't exactly built for hockey. And I think the American Airlines Arena wasn't as great for hockey as it is for basketball. But then you got all these stadiums. I mean, I used to remember, by the way, Phoenix and Miami used to be no, sorry, they weren't the answer. Well, it was them and Detroit were the answers for the teams that have four different stadiums for four different team sports franchises. And as soon as Miami got their own stadium, I think that was 2012. So, yes, I agree with that, David. Lindros would put up video game numbers. Well, it's because of his size, and he does have some speed. He was able to skate, and that's why I disagree with Romanello on this one. Like a center in basketball today, his games were total. But you know what? His size was so incredible. That's what made him so good. You could not. He just went somewhere. See, this is what happens when you read way too fast. Yeah, Romanel, my bad on that one. Hey, look, with me, especially when I'm alone, there's more of a chance of a Justin moment happening. Hey, Johnny Red, how we doing? Hey, sorry I missed all this, but busy riding out the hurricane here in Florida. Well, hopefully stay safe down there. And a matter of fact, I got to call my brother, see how everybody's doing. I think he might have flown up to Atlanta to go see the Mets. No, not yet. He's seeing him, I think, after the hurricane goes away. So, see, but And by the way, in my defense, I've been to way too many New York sport events that end with fights for no reason. Like I was at one where I was in 2011, last Islander Ranger game I went to at the Coliseum, and somebody got thrown down the stairs. And I'm just going, I am not coming back to any more of these. And actually that night we had a hockey game with Midnight Ice Hockey that was there. As Dan's saying right here, oops, sorry, it's Dan, not Don. Ooh, my bad, Dan. After 2014's heartbreak, I feel like we all need to see them get there and not lay an egg. This time, picking in the top 5 seems to be behind us. Yeah, I mean, I do think that they're not picking in the top 5. They're not going to get. There's certain. The league is. Everybody wanted to say that the league rigged it for the Rangers to get Kakko and Lafreniere. They are not going to let the Rangers get Connor Bedard, so don't worry about that one. So, and the other answer on that is, I do have to say this, Dan. I don't think 2014 was an egg. They lost the Stanley Cup by 3 goals. And in my personal opinion, they lost game 2 because the refs fucked them. I did not mince my words on that because that was goalie interference on Dwight King. I still believe it. They even said it the next year. Although every time I say it, I saw it in a tweet, and it was from like NHL scouting because they said 2 goals shouldn't have been allowed. One of them was Justin Williams shoving the San Jose goal. I think it was Alex Stalock into the net. So there was one. But no, I look, is it sour grapes? Yeah, I'm going to feel that way for the rest of my life. But the Rangers got screwed. Was LA a better team? Yeah, sure. Did they win? They deserve to win? Absolutely. Were the Rangers screwed? That could be true as well. They won the Stanley Cup by 3 goals. So that's just my opinion on that. Hi, Nick. Welcome aboard. What was rigged was Pittsburgh getting Crosby when the team was about to fold. Yeah. It's not that it's always the refs, because I don't complain about 2015. They lost to Tampa. You can't go lose 4-0 combined in games 5 and 7 at home and expect to say that you won. So you're somewhat right about that. Wow. Alex Galchenyuk released from his PTO with the Avs. That ended quick. So where are we right now? 2:36. We got at least another 10 more minutes, and we know what we mean by at least. The Rangers would have won the Cup at 14 if the games were 2 periods and not 3. David, you're right about that one, because they always coughed up that 3rd period lead. But that's also LA. They were wearing them down. I like the people that try to say that it was all Henrik Lundqvist's fault. Fucking man stood on his head. That's the reason why he was face down on the ice when Martinez scored. I mean, Rick Nash missing an open net in game 5. Yes, I believe the shot was blocked by Jake Muzzin. And yeah, the call against Kakko last year was horrendous. But there were times, and Johnny Red's right about that. The too many scoring chances missed in the triple overtime loss to LA. Well, double overtime game 2 was that was when Kreider hit the crossbar. I know that one. I also remember that because that was my 36th birthday. So I also I might have been a little bit drunk, but I was still very happy on it. And yes, hearing Williams scores was never so appealing to me ever in my life. Oh, that one hurt. And I had to take off the comment to make sure everybody knows what my last name is once again. Let me pull Anthony out for a little bit. He can always throw himself back in. But yes, the call against Kakko last year, I thought it was very bad. especially when you have the Pittsburgh announcers saying it should have been a goal. Oilers will get Bedard. We all know it. He's totally worth it for them to tank for this season and get their top 5, their 5th first overall pick in the last 10, 12 years. Might be right about that one. And you know what's even worse? Think about it like this. Taylor Hall is right now on the Boston Bruins, and it looks like they're going to be very bad. So if that's the case, kind of looks like Taylor Hall, they're going to be going there. On Anthony's sent something. Let's see what we got. Oh, all right. This is some news from Chris Johnson. The Flyers announced that Sean Couturier won't require surgery on his latest back setback. That is the way this reads. I can actually guarantee you on that. And they're calling for him to be week to week. So, by the way, I'm gonna put that in. Gonna actually put that into the. Gonna put that into the thing so that way you guys don't think I can't read it all. I know I'm not the best reader to begin with. That's my plight in life. No wait, I should probably. Okay, never mind. I'm just not gonna do anything. Screen sharing was canceled. Yeah. So anyway, first preseason starting lineup. Yes. By the way, Mikey, how are you doing? And yes, it guarantees it first. The Flyers are totally screwed, but you know what? And Dan, there's the reason why they're screwed because they're not going to be bad enough to get Bedard, or at least they shouldn't be. Tortorella is going to be too good of a coach for them. I mean, at least if they didn't have Couturier, and it looks like they're going to. And here it is. I got it for you guys now right here. It's and Flyers announced Couturier won't require surgery on his latest back setback. They're calling him week to week. So, I mean, I guess they don't want to be in the Connor Bedard sweepstakes, but that's going to be right there of all time. You know what? Romanel, guys, throw down what your favorite TV series are right there. I think it's me personally. I'm gonna say The Simpsons, but for me that show ended at year 15. So, because I still can watch almost any episode of that show. There's a bunch of them that are out there. General, that's a great thing for them. I was looking at that lineup last week because if you guys watch it, again, I put together the list of the most underpaid athletes in the league right now, and Elias Lindholm is number 1. And if Elias Lindholm can match any of the production that he had last year, where he was ridiculous. I think it was a plus 61, $80,000 a plus. I'm gonna say Calgary's gonna be right there. And you're telling me you're gonna throw out 2 good defensive centers like Kadri and Lindholm, and I don't even know who the third guy is. Let's go look that up. But those are pretty good centers that throw out there. So question is, I'm in a keeper league. I have to choose whether or not I keep Nico Hischier or Ryan Strome. I'm assuming it's Ryan Strome and not Dylan, or just dump both. State, do me a favor. Just do you have it where you have to keep them in the round you drafted them, or are they just bottom 2 keepers? Because here's the thing about Nico Hischier. He had 60 points in, I think it was 70 games. It was the most games he's played in 4 years. So if he could stay healthy, he sure could be having a pretty good season. Oh, no. Johnny Red is saying, what amazes me on how everyone is complaining about the Rangers winning the first overall pick for the first time in their history, but no one said too much about the Oilers winning 4 firsts in 6 years. No, plenty of people have said that. I have to disagree. All of us. Supernatural was a really, really, really good show. Horrible to take my Series 6, and they're giving me a hard time. Now I need to go to the boy. Mikey, sorry about that. David just wants to get me going. Obi-Wan was not good at all. Once again, though, for anybody that is a Star Wars fan, if you I'd skip Obi-Wan, you could easily skip Obi-Wan and just watch the cutscenes from Jedi Fallen Order, and that's a lot better of a show. Romanella said dumping him, take the picks. But then again, if where you drafted him was really low, I think Ryan Strom's not going to be really worth it. You know what? No, I'm just going to agree with Romanella. Dump him all. Okay. Blue Bloods and the rookie. I'm a cop from New York and became a cop at 43 years old. Wow. All right. How about that? And also, come on, Nathan Fillion. Everybody loves Nathan Fillion. Wow. The Adventures of Briscoe County Jr. I haven't even thought about that in a long time. All right. I got 9 cops in my family and I love Blue Bloods. Actually, I had an audition for Blue Bloods. I think I was 32 years old, maybe even 31. And they sent my management company sent me out on it. And I even told the guy, just like, this is for a guy that's 45 years old, right? And he said, "Oh yeah, you can go and get in there." Nope. I don't think Strom's going to do that well in Anaheim, and I don't think they're going to really get that on there. NYPD Blue was a really good show. See, The Sopranos, I still don't think it ended well. I still think James Gandolfini fantastic throughout the entire thing. I liked a lot of them throughout the entire thing. I just think I just after year 3 they kind of lost me. Year 2, oh my goodness, when the episode when they killed Big Pussy, that was fantastic. I mean, I would say spoilers, but it's Jesus, a 20-year-old show, and if I recall correctly, also She-Hulk has been spoiling more Sopranos than me. Although both people that watch She-Hulk would probably know that. I mean, I know that because I have to hate. I hate watch that show. Just like I'm like, I want to see this be good, but how bad is it going to be? Yeah. I mean, Mason McTavish, Mike, you're right about that. Mason McTavish is a hell of a player, and he's another one of those guys. You look over at Anaheim and go, Anaheim might get good sooner than later, so that's all right. Bones was probably the best of the non-CSI crime scene shows. And obviously I said The Simpsons. Romanelle, I'm surprised you're saying MASH, to be honest with you. I thought you might be too young for that, but MASH was a great show. It got better as it got older. Office is just the best in cringe humor too. One thing that makes General itch is that signing Uyghur. He's in contract talks now, but it's taking forever. It's going to take forever, I think. So we're going to see about that one. That Calgary defense, I think you're one of the ones that pointed it out for us when we did the Matthew Tkachuk trade special. But that Calgary defense, oh, that looks outstanding. Talking about the worst defenseman on that team being Oliver Shillington. I mean, oof. They might be the LA Kings of 2014 and 2014 again. Yes, I didn't know how old the 90210 cast was. I mean, Luke Perry was like 34, I think, and Shannon Doherty was 20. So, I read for Romeo and Juliet and Sergeant in NYPD Blue and the Toxic Avenger. Wow. Nice job, Mike. I did read for Rob McClanahan in the movie Miracle. So, but I was not good in that audition. I could tell you that right now. I then went back to school, got better in my auditions, still didn't land any parts. So let's move on from there. My buddy Anthony did a lot of appearances on Blue Bloods. He died suddenly 24 years ago on the job. Sorry about that. I always tell every guy, fulfill the first rule of police work. What Sean Connery says, the Untouchables: make sure when your shift is over, you go home alive. And everyone should be happy I did not do the Sean Connery impression. Okay, year 3 of Sopranos is when his mom died and the whole story was changed differently. Yes. The Killing was very good in the first 3 seasons, and the Canadian show Flashpoint was good as well. That's good. I mean, MASH almost outlived Vietnam. It outlived Korea by 3 times what the war was. It's also, by the way, one of the rare shows, MASH, that actually replaced characters and improved as it went on. Obviously, replacing Wayne Rogers with Mike Farrell, replacing getting Harry Morgan in there instead of McLean Stevenson, and that was a great way that he exited. And then eventually getting David Ogden Stiers was a great character after Larry Linville left the show. And then, of course, Gary Bergdorf leaves the show, Radar, and Klinger becomes a better character as well. It's just that, but yeah. Yeah. And by the way, yes, CSI, it's not the way it works. CSI just kind of gets their findings and they tell the people who it is. You read for true trauma films. Trauma films are the best and worst ever. And they can be. My parents loved Law and Order. If you like court cases, Law and Order was possibly the most unique show for many years. And then you see the Robot Chicken sketch on it, and it really does fit that. Look up Law and Order Robot Chicken, by the way. And but no, Law and Order I thought was a fantastic show for many years, but a little bit over dramatized. Oh wait, it's not a typo. It was Tromeo and Juliet. Oh. All right, how about that? And yes. Law and Order is a mature version of Night Court. Wow, that is truthful and spot on. I gotta love that one. So right now, I still got 22 of you guys watching right now. Thank you everybody for joining me, as we're starting to just fade into a little bit of the odds side of everything. Don't forget, everybody, make sure you're liking, subscribing, and hitting the bell, because there's need to do more of this. So let's see. All right, because look, I like Breaking Bad, but I don't think it was the greatest thing ever. I loved Game of Thrones. If I could lie to myself and say that show ended after season 7, that would probably be the best. Yeah. I knew a guy who watched The Rifleman and Me TV all day, and he loved it. David, can I ask you a question? Was that my father? And no, he likes more sitcoms anyway. And by the way, you're talking about Night Court, man. Nobody dominated Emmys in the 90s like John Larroquette. Wow, how about that one? My brother-in-law is a Raleigh firefighter, and he played Bass Reeves in Gunslingers. He played in some Tyler Perry stuff as well. Still lieutenant in the FD. That's great. Yeah, because I think it's Me TV. I think that's what my father watches all the time down in Arizona. Nice to know that he's at least doing well too. So, we're at 2:52 already, so I'm already 7 minutes over. We're gonna go. We'll go another 8 minutes, and then I'll start hitting my cousin's song. But a friend of mine and I were talking because he was like, "Oh yeah, they're doing a new Mighty Ducks." I'm like, "Yeah, dude, season 2." So I actually gotta watch the new Mighty Ducks and see how that is. because I never watched the first season. Cobra Kai is fantastic, by the way. It's what you want from a new generation show. But I mean, it's only one season. I still like the new Dark Crystal series, but I've talked to you guys about this before. I never watched The Wire. I know there's 21 here right now. There's probably somebody that went, so there's one. All in the Family was good. That had a great departure of that. By the way, and as you can tell, I love Futurama as well. Love that show. It's all underdog. Have no fear, underdog is here. Yeah, there's no Bombay in the second season. Okay. Which Emilio Estevez, I mean, how'd you go from the huge career that he was having and then, well, I mean, maybe he dialed it back himself, which is still a good thing. War Machine's a good name for a Jeep. So let's see. What other good shows I can think of right now? I love the new season of Rick and Morty so far, by the way. That's going great. Simpsons was always something I had to watch all the time because it was one of the, especially the first 9 seasons, it was one of the most intelligent shows ever. And it always had good heart. And then it's unwatchable now because the generation of writers just aren't good. I love Archer. Oh my God. I love Archer. That second year when he had cancer was so great. Yeah, and General saying it, and I gotta agree with Romanello right here. But Bombay is the ultimate hockey failure. DUI almost made it, but banging hockey moms. It's like, by the way, that's it. I mean, usually that's what says that you made it, not that you're a failure. But yeah, he couldn't get past that hockey powerhouse, Iceland. And also, they played Trinidad and Tobago, not the same country. They played Trinidad, Tobago. And I understand Disney was going for the most G-rated stuff, but that was out there. I watched the first season of The Sinner back in 2018. I have not watched any of it since. I thought it was pretty good the first year that I saw it, but it was also one of those. I kept going on it because my ex-girlfriend or my ex-fiance loved that. South Park has aged a lot better than woke Simpsons, 100%. Well, because South Park could still be funny because they're trying to at least be there. Simpsons just like I can't remember the last one. I keep hearing good things about Lucifer, so I have to check that out at some point. There's too many good shows. Justified, I heard, was right there. There we go. Mikey said it. I was waiting for somebody to say Shoresy, but Shoresy was good. But I mean, Letterkenny is so much fun. They have the best dialogue. I mean, the only way to just say it is, as far as it goes, to be fair. So there you go with that. But then again, whenever it comes to The Simpsons, they always get a quote like this.
That's good.
and just that bit is so great. Letterkenny has probably got the best dialogue on TV, or the best dialogue not written by Aaron Sorkin. Like, that's how good that is. First off, thank you very much. I'm glad you're still sticking around, because I mean, I remember when Gaudreau signed, and I think we first got you. So that is the point of that. And you know what? I'd love to see more of that. I love that the fact that, like, you look at their Instagram, they all hang out together. It's not just a TV show. It actually is just, they got the show by day, and they're all hanging out all the time. Just gonna drop the pen over here. Monday Night Raw, longest running weekly show. Is it 60 minutes? 60 minutes has been running since, I think, the 1950s, but we don't know about that, because also you still have Monday Night Football, you still have Sunday Night Football, you still have a couple of these. First, that's a great thing to have, that Triple H has done wonders for Raw. 60 minutes. I'll look that up. It's got a lot. Mike, how are you now? One of my regulars at work has got me saying that to him all the time. But all right. So again, the Flyers announcing Sean Couturier won't require surgery. That's big news for them, and might knock them out of Connor Bedard sweepstakes. So no new notifications. But so we still have, let's see what time we got. We got 2:59 right now. So, you know, guys, we'll cut it off right here. We're about 2 hours and 51 minutes. I'm surprised Anthony's still signed in with me. He's still hanging out at the bottom. So let's start playing us out. If you haven't watched the most underpaid players in the league video, that is on there. I can go with, by the way, thanks to, I'll put the link on it up there, but that was for Big Daddy that said that one. But I actually got to see my family this week, and they were very delighted that I play this song all the time to get us out. That I'm happy to also know that my cousin is going to start replaying this, or updating a lot of his old work. My little cousin. No problem, guys. Thank you very much. So thank you all for joining me, and especially Anthony. And hopefully next week, Mr. John Polkowski will be joining us as well. Look, next week is going to be a huge show. We're going to have to go over what our picks are and who is going to end up winning the Stanley Cup. Who's going to end up winning the Hart Trophy, the Norris Trophy, and the Vezina Trophy. So, and the Calder. And I'm happy to say that everyone else was looking over to Lucas Raymond or Quentin Byfield, and I'm the one that said Moritz Seider. That's just me being victorious in the dance for that. Oh, they don't stop. Oh, there you go. There you go. Okay with that. Shawnee, thank you very much. And I think I have to say, I think I said happy anniversary or something. There was something I know I commented on you. Oh, wow. Romanello, if that's the case, I actually do have stickers coming in. So hopefully, if I find out how long they're going to be, I'll check my emails right now. Maybe I'll get it out to you. So yeah, I'll throw a free sticker in with every single hat that's bought on eBay. So there you go. And this is where the great part is about having the song play for about 3 minutes. You could tell there was a lot of classic rock, Doobie Brothers influence that he has over this. This guy was a great guy. I mean, Phil was always the best. I'm a Yankee and a Giants fan from Canada, so don't. Wow. Yeah, but you know what? Everybody likes the Yankees. You know, it's the most famous one. Being the Giants fan is a little bit more of a surprise. Sean, I will definitely try to find you the way to download that. We'll set that up. I'll put it in the links. You smell what the Philk is cooking. Well, that's why I have, if you guys remember, it's Philk's editorial segment is called My Philkin Opinion. You won't recognize him because, I mean, he's lost a ton of weight since then. Yeah. Got the shirt out of the wash to see him, Philk. Yeah, Mike, if you can, send a picture of it. So, or put it on Big Apple Hockey, the Instagram stuff. I got to do more of that. CCR is just good music. You know, the thing that always makes me laugh is I got my coworker, one of my good friends from England, and I'll turn to him and I'll be like, "Oh yeah, so there's Iron Maiden." He's like, "Oh, I don't like Iron Maiden, mate." Like, the hell? You're from England. I thought that was like a prerequisite. He doesn't like Iron Maiden or Def Leppard. Really? Somebody our age is. Oh yeah, if you have two shirts, then Copa's gonna have the photo. Oh, I see if I got another one. Maybe I got a couple more. I think I still have a few more. I'm still waiting to find out. I haven't gotten Juan S to send me his address, so I have one more that I have to get and send out. But yeah, I'm looking at a couple different things too. All right. So, everybody, that's where we're going to end the show today. Great talking with all of you, and especially a little side conversation about all the TV shows. I'm actually doing a tour of UBS Arena in a few hours because there's a possibility of us doing a. I didn't do any mediums, Mike, but I think I might have a large left. I'll let you know about that. And Romanello, yeah. Jen Romanov did wear the hat. We do have the footage of him. We just could not release it, unfortunately, because that was part of it. Mike, yeah, hope the day gets less shitty as it goes on. But yeah, like Ryan Strome missing many empty nets. But also, so we might be doing a luxury box at a UBS game with all things Islanders. That might be a possibility with that. Stay tuned with that one. And also the if one of my recent purchases, I recommend for everybody the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Cowabunga collection. It's got both Turtles in Time and the original arcade game on there. That's why it's already worth the $40 that I paid for it. I played that for a while, and as well as Metroid Dread, as I always do. So there's still a lot of things that I have to catch up with, both entertainment and everything else. I think I mentioned Justified. I still have to finish watching Justified, which technically I'm only 3 episodes in, so I got a lot more I have to do with that. House of the Dragon is another one. I mean, I watched the new Lord of the Rings, but it's absolutely awful. So it's 2 stars at best. So yes, everybody, once again, like, share, subscribe. And if there's any top 10s that you guys can think of, feel free to suggest them. You can send it over to the Big Apple Hockey Twitter, which is right over here. And I'll start getting to work on some of those. Hopefully, again, we are going to have the season premiere or the season preview next week. I want to make sure that there's a time that Phil can do it, because we definitely need his energy for this. And also because, come on, we're better as the Hockey Triforce. All right, guys. Thanks, everybody. And yes, thank you very much, guys. And please just keep spreading us around. We are growing because we have faithful viewers like you guys, all 11, 12 of you. They're still sitting right here as I keep babbling on. So thank you very much today. And, oh, wait, there's a question. Why are the spacing of the preseason out so much? Yeah, that's a great question. I don't know. They got 2 back-to-backs, doing back-to-backs in the preseason. I mean, no wonder why they're like, hell with this. But I think it's that they're going to be ready for next week. And right now, everybody in Tampa is saying thank God for that. So hopefully that's not it. All right. Everybody, once again, thanks very much for joining us today, and we will see you later